I was told Thomas.
Oh, okay. So you just, yeah, you just
Good evening, everyone. Is the microphone working? Testing. Great. Calling this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and we're going to start with the public hearing initially regarding an alcohol beverage privilege license application. And Ned, I believe, if you could present information for us, that'd be great.
Yes, this is an application for retail sale of beer and wine at a new business called Snack Pit Stop Mini Mart, 4687 Rockbridge Road, Suites 1 and 2. For Pine Lakers, you may remember Dean's Market. This is the same section of that plaza. It's owned by Kyra Harrington, and that is also the applicant, who's Kyra Harrington, who's here this evening.
Would you like to come up and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're proposing?
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. It's nice to meet everybody. My name is
Hello.
I've been in Georgia about 26 years. I'm originally from Columbus, Ohio. I started out with a smoke shop. It lasted about 7 years in Tucker. I've been closed for about a year, and I saved up a couple bucks. I went back to work for FedEx and Amazon, of course. Saved up a couple bucks. Didn't have much. I believed in myself, and I took a chance. And I got kind of lucky, I feel, to get the space and to start the convenience store. Heard a lot of good things about Pine Lake and the community. They've been coming through, kind of excited to see me there and to open up. And it's a pleasure to meet everybody. Heard about the meeting, and I just thought I'd come by and meet everybody.
Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate your willingness to take a chance on Pine Lake.
Yes, sir.
So at this moment, what we would ask if anyone has any questions or concerns about the application to come on up to the podium. Does not appear that we have any, so thank you for being here, Ms. Harrington. We will now call to order the regular meeting, and we'll come back to vote on this during the regular meeting. So the call to order for the regular meeting, want to start with any announcements and communications?
Councilmember Lowers and I had our second meeting with Atlanta Regional Commission for the comprehensive plan. It was really great, and I don't want to, there's so much stuff to do tonight that I don't want to like ramble on and on about it. But I think it was just really encouraging, and the Jillian and Lauren from ARC are working really hard and just have such great ideas and great energy. And then also Kate Nevins and Wendy Keith Ott are on the committee as well, and they've had just amazing input. I just feel like it's really been like a great group to really think about the future of the city. And we had survey results that we got into, and it was just a lot of really good discussion, I would say. And so even though tonight is the millage vote, and that obviously is a very particular thing and has very particular implications, the comprehensive plan, the draft of it is gonna be sent to y'all pretty soon. And then we have a little bit of time to sort of talk amongst ourselves, refine things before we submit it to the state. And then when we submit it to the state for their review, it's basically pretty locked in, right? Like no big changes after that, I would say. So whatever conversations y'all have been having with us or amongst yourselves about the city and kind of thinking ahead, there's still more to talk about. So regardless of millage and all these other things, just keep in mind that this conversation is ongoing, and we definitely want your input. And did I miss anything important?
On?
Uh-huh.
Cool. I would just add that the ARC was really excited about working with us as a way to pilot adding language around the
Climate resiliency.
Climate resilience, that's the specific aspect. So they have put together some language, I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but that we can consider whether we want to add as part of our comprehensive plan, but it seems in theory aligned with Pine Lake, and they were into that.
could, just for the benefit of those who may not understand, what exactly does the comprehensive plan mean, and just the implications of that?
So every city in Georgia is required to complete a comprehensive plan, I believe every 4 to 5 years. And that plan sets out a certain number of, sets out a vision and a kind of an identity overall for what the community wants to, what the city wants to be. It sets priorities that are generated from input of the community. So that's the surveys and the table at Pollination Celebration that we've been doing and other things to figure out what the community on a whole wants to focus on, whether that's economic development or environment or tourism or whatever. There are certain things that we have to address, like transportation is one of the standards.
I think housing
And
might
housing,
also
yeah.
be, yeah.
But we really get to choose for ourselves where we think we want the focus to be. We submit that to the state, and then 4 or 5 years from now, we will go back and say, yes, we did this thing. We ended up, like, this is in progress, but we haven't finished it yet, and so on. So it's a longer term set of benchmarks for the community's evolving identity.
Great, thank you for that information and for taking part in that. Any other communications?
Yeah, so Tim McLeod with Plain and Seed has informed me that David Long from the Georgia Forestry Commission is going to be coming to Pine Lake to give a presentation July 16th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Beach House. Mr. Long is going to be, he's done a survey of our wetlands, our forested areas, and he's not going to be talking about the health or anything with the waterways, but he will speak to the plants and provide suggestions for how we can better take care of our forested areas. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? Announcements and communications? Okay. I had a meeting yesterday with our county commissioner, Shakira Johnson, discussing following up on concerns that we have in regards to DeKalb County and sewer lines, both the sewer line that parallels the creek and the backside of the lake opposite where the dam is, and the danger that the banks are eroding and the sewer lines are potentially at risk. She is following up. She's already spoken with the Department of Watershed Management Director previously from a month ago, and is following up on that. And she's also going to be talking with the sewer department in regards to the manholes around sewer covers that are sinking throughout the city. I think we've identified with Mr. Kendrick 9 different locations that are in desperate need of repair, and hopefully she can help us get that taken care of. The idea is with her push, we can get it pushed higher up on the list of importance. And then we just really talked about general things along the lines of the appearance of Rockbridge Road entering into the city on both sides, whether going from Memorial Drive or going towards Hambrick, the lack of consistent sidewalks, the lack of maintenance in terms of overgrowth on Rockbridge Road that is infringing upon some areas that I think are safety issues, and thinking that both of those directions are welcomes to Pine Lake. So again, really trying to get more help with the county to help us spruce up what we can do in the city and what they can do to help us getting to the city. And she is a good supporter. She's a previous council member from Stone Mountain. She is the presiding officer for the county commissioners, even though this is her first term as a county commissioner, and she's a good friend to Pine Lake. Any other announcements, communications? Okay, so moving on, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda of the day?
I move we adopt the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do we have an adoption of the minutes from the May 26, 2026 regular meeting, June 9, both 11 and 6 public hearing and work session special called meeting, June 11th, again 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. public hearings? Do we have a motion to adopt?
I move that we adopt the minutes listed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Before the vote, I want to make a quick, Councilmember Kohler pointed out an error in the roll call in the May 26th meeting, not listing Calvin Berkamy. So I want to mention that edit will be made in the final minutes.
Thanks, Ned.
Thank you both.
I move that we adopt the minutes with the provided edit.
Do we have a second?
I will re-second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. This is an opportunity for public comment. Please come to the podium, adjust the microphone if needed, identify who you are, where you live, and you'll have 3 minutes to make public comment. I think it's just about anything.
Tom Ramsey, 610 Spruce Drive. I'd like to make a comment about an item that's on your agenda for this evening, R 2026-36, regarding change of banking institutions and opening investment accounts. Overall, this resolution seems totally supportive of our current city manager and his management abilities. However, bullet points 4 and 5, which were not in the original draft that was released to the public, seem to be out of touch with the overall resolution. They seem to be a targeted effort to establish a scenario to fire a city manager for cause. If council needs monthly statements for all accounts, why not add this item to the contract that you currently have with our finance director who handles this information on a daily basis? Why target the city manager with this? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Hi, Courtney Wasserberger, 470 Pine Drive. I just wanted to note that there's a 4th of July celebration hosted by both the city and Plain on the 4th of July from 12 to 2 down at the lake. So everyone should come. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Come on up.
I just had a quick question. Has anybody ever been down there by the store? On the side, it's like a reservoir where water gathers, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. And the trees are growing up really high. I'm not sure if who's responsible for that. Would that be Pine Lake or would that be my landlord?
Is that
It's like
the
where the water is draining off at?
retention pond?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we will move on to new business, which first item is Resolution R 2026-35, which is the alcoholic beverages privilege license application for the Snack Pit Stop Mini Mart at 4687 Rockbridge Road, Suites 1 and 2. Any discussion or questions?
I'm curious, Mr. City Clerk, how many alcohol licenses do we currently have in Pine Lake?
It's a great question. I can say for retail package sale, we have 2. The Texaco and the Family Dollar. For on-premise consumption, we have just the one at Silver's.
Thanks.
And this one, just to clarify, this one is going to be a retail, right?
That's
Not an
correct. No
on-premise.
on-premise consumption. Yeah, just package sale.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, do we have a motion to approve Resolution R 2026-35?
I move we approve R 2026-35.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Resolution R 2026-35 has been approved. Congratulations.
I got one more question. I was trying to ask that real quick. Number 3, resolution authorization to change banking institutions for investment accounts for idle cash. Now, would that be for business owners to get help with funding? I'm just not sure. Okay. Do y'all have something like that for business owners then? Like where they can get advice on where they can get help or stuff like that?
My suggestion would be DeKalb Small Business Association. They offer resources to small business, and we could get you that information if you leave us your contact info. Is that? All right, moving on to the next resolution of new business, R 2026-42, issuance and sale of tax exemption note, abbreviated TAN. Do we have a motion?
A motion to approve, or do we need to discuss or just approve?
We do the motion, then we discuss.
A motion to discuss, or no, approve?
Approve, then we discuss, right?
Yeah, you motion to adopt the legislation, and then the second, and then we have an opportunity to discuss.
Sorry. I motion to adopt resolution R 2026-42, issuance of sale of tax anticipation note.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Mr. Meyer, if you'll explain this to me and anyone curious, why we would take this instead of using our fund budget, our savings, to cover this.
This is a cash flow issue, so if you don't take this, you will run out of funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And just for clarity, we pay it off by the end of this year.
Correct. It matures at December 31, 2026.
Okay.
So it's a 6-month loan.
Okay.
That's all.
That's it. I think we,
And they did it like a line of credit, which I thought was nice too. So we don't have to just pull out the full 450 and get charged interest. We pull money down as we need it. So that was nice. Some interest savings there.
So they are approving us for that amount, and we only pull we end up needing. So if we use less than that, we're paying less than that. Oh, okay, great.
and just, so the TAN is a stopgap measure until we get funding from property taxes.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Going forward, what are the other options for a city of our size to either avoid it entirely or need less of a TAN so that we end up paying less interest to borrow money for ourselves?
Bigger fund balance would be one way. Again, it's that, that I would say February through August timeframe where you just don't have significant revenues. You guys rely, I forget the percentage, but most of your revenues at year end through your insurance premium tax and your property taxes. So if you're going to have that cash flow deficit throughout the year, you need to have a cushion, and that's essentially what your fund balance is. Assuming your fund balance is mostly made up of, cash or receivables, something liquid, which it is for you guys. So that's one way. I'm not sure I have any other ideas as to how you avoid having to borrow. The tax anticipation note is what's common for local governments, and so there's not like there's another option. Even if there was, which I'm sure there is, maybe potentially some other type of loan, but you're still borrowing and you're still paying interest on that money. So
I think you underscored the importance of having our reserve.
Agreed. I think I have one question, Stephen, just a second, just to make sure so probably, I think I know the answer, but just for the sake of asking the obvious, do we start repaying when we get property taxes coming in? Like, is that part of then like the budget?
No, there's no early you talking about the TAN?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no early repayment. It's principal and interest is due on December 31.
Oh, so we pay like, okay. And then do you anticipate that once property taxes come in, we will no longer be having to pull from that TAN, regardless of what we've spent thus far?
Yeah. Once the taxes come in, we'll see where we stand with the money, but I would assume you don't need to pull from it anymore.
You're not going to be
because
doing
your taxes
both,
are
right?
coming
Your
in.
taxes have come in, so you can
yes,
stop.
I see your question. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't draw down anymore on that.
Yeah, thank you.
And, well, I'll just comment that now that we have, thanks to you, a budget to actual ability to actually see day to day what we need and don't need. So congrats for that hard work. And just, as long as I've lived in Pine Lake, I don't think we've ever had a budget to actual.
Cool.
So good job. That just makes, I think, our life, I'm sure it makes your life a lot easier. Well, it's data. It's like now we can make really sound decisions based on good data.
Yeah. How are
So-
we performing per our estimates? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
So again, kudos to
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions, points for discussion? Do we have a motion?
I move we adopt our 2026-42.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Approved. Moving on to Resolution R 2026-36, authorization to change banking institutions, open investment accounts for idle cash. Do we have a motion?
I motion to adopt Resolution R 2026-36, authorization to change banking institutions, open investment accounts for idle cash.
Do we have a second?
A second.
And discussion?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, if I can interrupt briefly, I just need a clarification on the motion. If the motion or the resolution you're referring to is the substitute that was circulated today, not the one that was originally part of the agenda packet on Friday. Is that correct, Councilmember Hall?
Yes, that's correct.
The document in the packet is the version from this morning.
Thank you for that clarity. Questions, discussion?
So it's 36 in the packet, right? R 2026-36, right? Today's packet.
Yes.
I, for stipulations 4 and 5, I think that if there's reporting, that's fine, but I don't think there's any need for a for cause, like wording in those.
Other questions, discussion, responses?
I think there needs to be some sort of accountability. I think that East Point is kind of going through a similar issue right now with their city manager and not having provided for this kind of, we need this reporting. That's just, and I made the penalty, I'd be open to discussing that, but we absolutely need to have this.
Yeah, and to be clear, as far as I agree with you on that point, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is more about the wording, not so much the report, but the wording
Correct.
about the.
Yeah, that's what I'm raising.
Okay. Other comments?
I've got comments.
Sir?
So to give a little perspective, the city council has always had to approve who we bank with. So there were two options, and the option that was prescribed by our finance director that I supported was not this excess authority where we could go out and choose whoever we want for banking or investments. And that's how the CAM was written. Initially, when the city attorney suggested to me that maybe we should look for this broad authority to the city manager, I thought, okay, we can consider that. After the city attorney drafted the 2 resolutions, and he drafted them, but the one that comported to the finance director's recommendation, basically to go with a new bank, because we're going to be changing from Truist, and Resident is giving us this chance of doing business with them. So that's very specific. That's what we're at, not any additional discretion. And then he asked for the ability to invest in the state pool. And as you know, we've not been investing our funds, even as we've had larger fund balances, $2 million. Truist hasn't paid us anything. But there's always been this state pool that has been available, and it doesn't get into any risky type of things. And so it's very specific. Those 2 institutions for banking and investments. And then if anything changes, we bring it back to the council. The main reason why I objected to this moment, and you all know that I'm pretty frank, this has put a real strain on my relationship with the city attorney, because I don't understand it. When you talk about financial policies that the council wants to review, that really deals with policy decisions, it's the kind of report that you just talked about, budget variance. And even though we're going to present it on a regular basis, you didn't need to tell us that you're going to fire the city manager if you don't produce it. In fact, this council and the last council, it's been very patient with the city having a new ERP system, and we didn't have the keys unlocked because of some of the transitions. So imagine if you had put that kind of penalty on that monthly report. I would have been gone a long time ago. And I will just tell you, and I've been in this business, I always say 30 plus, that I don't like for people to speculate too much on my age, but I've been doing it a lot longer than 30 years. Bank statements, I've never seen it, and I've worked for so many governments where that's something that a policy body wants to see month in and month out. There may be individuals who are interested, and at request, we can always give anybody whatever information that we have. And for this to be embedded in a resolution, and resolutions aren't codified. In fact, the reason that we do as many resolutions as we do hasn't been Pine Lake's practice to do resolutions for every agenda item. We relied largely on motions. City attorney didn't even attend most meetings. But when you get a new city manager in, the next city manager, or city manager, 3 years from now, and you've got something like this, and I don't know what the purpose is. It feels like a setup to me, but it can't be a setup for me because I'm most educated on it. And that was the reason why I particularly brought it to the attention of the finance director. We've got to be on top of this. But it does raise certain questions. You know, it's by the second regular meeting. I'm not fully sure of what that is. In fact, in August, your calendar, you previously approved that you will be on recess. So, you know, we can interpret it. What if there's a delay in the bank presenting information to us? But the issue is not only this penalty of termination if we miss reporting a bank statement. It's for cause. And I don't know if everybody appreciates what cause is. Because when you say someone has been fired for cause, and particularly in my profession, newspapers will pick it up. And people will think the worst. Did he commit some type of crime? It ruins people's careers. So for whatever reason, that language, it's really absurd, was chosen. You're in the process of recruiting for a new city manager. I will tell you, I know city managers, I know how we think. And if we see something like this, they're really willing to fire me for cause because I miss a report that doesn't even have any significance to policy. So it's less about the financial reporting. The only thing that I've objected to from the very beginning was that last sentence. And I've had this conversation with the city attorney even today. I can't understand why we can't get closer on this. But to some kind of way, because when you read it, and you know, and people interpret things, and imagine a candidate who doesn't even look at this in terms of a resolution policy, which is nowhere close to the charter, but that I'm coming into a place that the charter literally says, because that's how I interpret it, that the city manager will be fired for cause for missing a report. And there is nothing in the charter that you look at. It's a stretch. Talks about reports, annual reports at that. And for that language to have been put in, it has truly, it's been stressful for me. And, you know, I've got only a few months left, and it's just making sure, finance director, you got that report ready. And, you know, I've already had strategized with them. So, what report would we be presenting from month to month? If we present it for the most recent month, and let's say that, because our meetings, you know, they change. Sometimes it's the last Tuesday, such as this, the 30th, but then the cycle could be somewhere, you know, let's say August the 21st. And so if we've got it for, you know, the July report, maybe that doesn't give us enough time to ensure that it meets this rigid schedule. And so those kind of things have to be factored in, and I just think it's totally needless. The original agenda that went out, as is typical, went out with what your city manager, who is the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Administrative Officer, recommends, this is my opportunity to make recommendations. And receiving word pretty late last evening where the city clerk was directed to remove what had gone out. You know, it's another question for me. It's not about setting the agenda, it's the content of the agenda. And the content of the agenda for items that I sponsor, I get to make recommendations, and then the council can consider other alternatives. So this has caused a lot of issues. You know, I don't want to speak for the finance director, and I know he probably wasn't going to just volunteer to come up, but me and him were having late night discussions last night, and I don't coach my staff, and I think he's built some rapport and credibility, but he has an issue with this, because although it may seem like it's about the city manager, this is more pressure on him. He's only given, and I don't know what it is, but let's just say it's 10 hours a week. And he can be pressed. One time this year, I had to hold up the strategic performance report, and you didn't get it until Sunday, I believe, Monday, actually. And Stephen is committed, but what he had to contribute in his report, I wanted to wait. And if he had been able to get it any sooner, he would have. So those are the kind of things that need to be considered. So I hope you will really consider, if you stick with this wider, which isn't my recommendation at this point, we want to recommend resident for banking services and for investment services in the city or the state's pool. If you still want a reporting requirement in there, number 4 certainly wouldn't be needed any longer. Your number 5 would be these banking statements that, you know, but if you want a report in there, this thing about terminating the city manager for cause, because you could apply that to anything that coming out of this meeting that the city clerk, the city attorney has to follow up. You know, we all have those issues where we're delayed on things for whatever reason. I know Councilmember Hull asked about the Plain MOU and reminded us that it was supposed to be on this agenda. But for whatever reason, it didn't make it. I don't know the full reasons. And so if you had language in there for an instruction, and if you don't do it, you know, you're going to be terminated for cause. So thank you.
So just to be clear, you're not number 4 and 5. What you think should be stricken is the penalty, not the actual reporting
Yes.
process.
Yes.
Because I personally want the reporting requirements. The penalty is not it's not important
The
to me.
reporting is the accountability.
So I would like to see
The
that.
other's just punitive, you know, just.
So I would like to see that in this resolution. Is there any penalty that would be agreeable?
You know, if it's going to come down to the city manager, and I just remind you all, and I have done this in writing, you don't need anything other than you're terminated. You don't have to give any explanation. So if you're not getting the reports that you want or in a timely way, you can take disciplinary measure. It doesn't have to be written down, that's a given. But the reporting requirement is the accountability. Get that report. If it gets to the place that you're not getting reports, then yes, you have the ability at any point to take discipline, but you don't need a resolution that gives you that ability to do it.
So just to clarify again, in paragraph 4 and 5, it's basically the last sentence in each of those
Yes,
paragraphs that are your concerns.
yes.
Other comments, questions?
So I personally value our city attorney's professionalism and his expertise, just like I value all of our city employees or contractors' expertise. The city manager warned back in September that things were going to be hard without alluding to exactly what it was that was going to be hard this year. I can't help but feel that his recommendations prior to my time on council have put Pine Lake in a precarious position financially with your recommendation of raising the millage rate 4 mills. So to me, handing over our finances control completely without oversight and without repercussion would be foolish. And to assume that council is not interested in banking statements is not okay. We have had a long history of ups and downs with finances. We absolutely need to know where we are every month. In the city charter, stipulates that you are I can't find it right now, but in charge of finances. So even though it may be Stephen that is doing the work, it is up to you. You yourself just said you're the chief executive officer.
I'd like to address that point because this is something that I thought about, and you're right. That provision of the charter powers and duties of the city manager does list in that particular section the various types of roles, accountant, treasurer, so on. But the city charter also speaks to, even as different responsibilities that all fall with the city manager administratively, that departments are provided for, and department directors, and the delegation of any of those responsibilities. And checks and balances are important. I oversee everything. You know, you all have a lot of interaction with the directors, such as the report being sent to you from Mr. Meyer this morning, or the Public Works Director, or the Police Chief. But let me assure you, before you get anything, my staff and I have been engaged. So because you get it directly from them doesn't mean that I'm not involved. In fact, I could, according to the charter, be that strict. Nothing goes to the city council unless it has my name on it. And then, yes, it would have this appearance. Oh, it's the city manager. City manager, that's not me. I want people to get full credit. But one of the reasons why, and this gives me an opportunity, and this is an issue, and I'm not trying to pick on the city attorney, but we've had some differences this week and some things, you know, where he's told me, you're wrong. We've had some pretty strong words. And, you know, we've had some confusion in, there's a different charter, the last charter, and the language was so close. I think the city attorney described it as virtually the same. And I'm not sure what's going on, but the first time that Pine Lake has had a city manager is 2024. Previous to that, there was no city manager, but yet, if you go to the Code of Ordinances and the charter, it's got this different set of numbers and some substantive differences in the text itself. And the city attorney brought that to the city clerk's attention, is that we need to get that cleaned up, and the city clerk is working on it. But there's only one charter, and that's the Senate bill that was passed in May 2024 that the governor signed. Now, one of the things, if you go into that, it says that the city manager is the chief administrative officer. That's true. That's all it says. The city manager, according to the city charter, and I'm not trying to, you know, brag, I'm just telling you, and I wasn't here when this was approved, is the chief executive officer and the chief administrative officer. And that title is powers and duties. This is a powerful position. It doesn't go to my head because I know I can't do anything without the team. But one of the reasons that those departments and those financial roles that you just listed, that I'm fully accountable to, but I make it a point not to go into those bank accounts. And because I've got a lot of power. And when you've got a person who has all of that power, who could also go in and control the physical money, that's not what you want. You're not going to find the person that's more honest than me. So I hope you appreciate the separation and the checks and balances that comes with having a competent finance director. I want him controlling that, and not for you to think that, okay, well, the city manager isn't doing what is assigned to him. No, it's provided for in the charter for good reason. And it's also about the professionalization that came with the charter. Because in the past, for most of Pine Lake's history, it has been just that, what was called the administrator, who did everything, the super person. So, yeah, you know, was that person busy? I'm sure, but certain checks and balances weren't there. I know thousands of managers. We usually come up in a discipline, and that's our area of expertise. So thinking you're gonna ever find a super person who is expert in all that local government does. So I owe it to the team, and that's why I put them out front. So yes, those are my responsibilities, but there are going to be appropriate internal controls that goes with ensuring that I oversee all of those things appropriately, as opposed to doing them all myself.
I didn't ask for you to do them yourself, but I do think it's important that you present council with a report. It doesn't say you have to do an oral presentation. It's giving us in writing a report.
If you get any report from any department director, that is coming from the city manager, because the only person who has the ability to represent those based on the charter is the city manager. That's your only relationship, administration-wise. But I do have the ability to allow my staff to interact directly, because for all of those areas, they're more expert than me.
So, my question, I guess, is just trying to wrangle this. I think what I'm sort of hearing is how do we as a policy council do oversight?
Yeah, if you're not getting a banking report that you want, and I wasn't suggesting that, but it's not one of the top lists that's shared with policy bodies. There's nothing that you're going to do with a bank statement that allows you to set some policies. Informational, no question. But any reports that you want that you're not getting timely, you bring that to the attention of the city manager, and if the city manager still isn't looking, do what this says. Terminate. I wouldn't recommend for cause. It simply isn't important enough. I just think that's not right. And that's less about me than your future city manager. So if this language was intended for me, I'm short term. It's those new city managers that are coming, who I will tell you will never look at that resolution to be aware of it. And maybe there will be that one council person, who has an issue, who remembers it. You missed the August bank statement. We can fire you now. Well, you could fire anyway. So I think it's important, and I appreciate your point, Councilmember Dole, but taking out that sentence doesn't take any oversight or accountability that the city council has, and holding the city manager accountable.
Mayor Pro Tem, can I be heard briefly?
Certainly.
There's nothing in the resolution that requires the production of bank accounts or bank statements. Item 5 simply asks the city manager, who is the only administrative officer in the city for whom the council has the power to direct. You have no ability under 2.30 of your charter to tell the finance director to shine his shoes, much less provide you reports. Your only authority is to direct the city manager. Item 5 says that every month you're to get, at your last regular meeting, which is your operational voting meeting, all of us understand what regular meeting means, a statement of the balances of each account held by the city. That's all it requires. There's no banking statements. We're not asking for access to bank transactional access. The resolution doesn't ask for access to the computer to get access to the accounts. None of that is part of item 5. Paragraph 4.
I'd like the finance director to interpret that same section when you're done.
I'm sorry, I'm the lawyer and I wrote the bloody thing.
You paused, so
And I'm not done.
you paused, so I thought you were finished.
So just in terms of managing this meeting right now, we have, according to my watch, 3 minutes before we have to go into the public hearing.
I'd like the finance director to share any perspective that he has. I certainly haven't coached him or reversed.
I'd like our city manager or city attorney to finish what he was saying.
I thought it was finished.
Stanley,
He just said that he's not done. He just said that he's not done.
I'm not trying to stop the city attorney. Chris.
No one in the administration has asked me what the context of any of the language in any of this resolution is intended for. It's not been that question asked of my office. I've explained what item 5 says is required or sought. That was the intent. That would ordinarily be attorney-client privilege communication as to what the legislative intent of an action is. I'm doing that in a public meeting. There's going to be minutes of this meeting. There's going to be a video recording of this meeting. That information is going to be available for perpetuity, and that information and that legal advice as to the intent and purpose of subsection 5 is going to be part of that public record. Section 4 of the resolution only applies if there is a subsequent change to a banking institution by the authority granted in this resolution generally. Since I've been here, on at least 4 occasions, the council has had resolutions presented to make banking changes. That's a colossal waste of time. Fact of the matter is, most of this conversation tonight has been a colossal waste of your time, and for which I apologize. The purpose of writing this was to delegate to the city manager appropriate discretion to manage the funds of the city so that he didn't have to come to you every time he wanted to make a change. You only vote once a month. This isn't like some of the cities in the county where they meet and have voting meetings twice a month. So you can't be nimble. You can't be quick about how you're going to allocate funds and put it in a place where it's going to earn the most money on the short term or even the long term. By giving the city manager this discretion, it solves that problem. Subsection 4 requires that if there is that change, then a report is provided to the city council at the next regular session that is a voting session of the council to provide notice that that change has been made. That's all that's required. Whether there's heartburn over making express what is implied as the city manager has described, that's a policy choice and a language choice for the council. I live in a world where I say things out loud so that there's no misunderstanding about what the intent is.
So again, I'm just going to remind us we have less than 1 minute before we need to
Yeah.
take a recess.
All that was just said by the city attorney has nothing to do with legal. And while I appreciate his opinion, that is not his role. We have made a recommendation to you that we want to recommend institutions, I don't care how inconvenient it is, because that's a staff administrative issue. But if you're going to stick with this broad authority that you're giving the city attorney, this fire for cause, I hope that you will reconsider.
I'm going to move for a recess right now so that we could start. Well, we table this and we go to recess.
Do we just a second?
Yeah.
Meeting at 7?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So we will come back to this regular meeting. Going to call to order the public hearing in regards to the 2026 property tax millage rate. This is an opportunity for comments from the public regarding the millage. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you guys so much. And I look forward to you guys coming to get some coffee, okay? Please try the coffee.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kara.
I'll have your snack or your favorite drink or your favorite wine or beer. I will definitely get it. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
So again, this is an opportunity. This is the public hearing in regards to the 2026 tax millage, property tax millage rate. this is your opportunity as residents to share your thoughts and regarding the vote that will be happening later tonight. Sort of feel like we need a collective deep breath and just bring it down for a moment. Stephen, could you possibly come on up? And I think one piece of information that would be helpful for residents to understand is, I believe the abbreviation is the HRGT, that was just passed.
HTRG stands for Homeowner Tax Relief Grant. Yes.
Okay, my dyslexia pops in.
It's just a lot of acronyms and government in general. Would you like me to speak on the tax relief
Please.
grant?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, so this year, Governor Kemp and the General Assembly has voted to enact what's called a homeowner tax relief grant, which is essentially show up as a credit on property owners' bills if they have a homestead exemption. And the city gets that revenue from the state as opposed to the property owner.
This,
Go ahead.
this only applies to homestead properties.
Only homestead properties, and it's an $18,000 exemption, in addition to any other homestead exemptions that they have. And this applies to not only the city of Pine Lake, but also DeKalb County and the DeKalb County School District as well. So it would be all of your taxing jurisdictions.
So then the important part, I think, is if we go with the, say, 24 mils suggested, what would be on a $300,000 house a $428 increase, or a $464 increase, would only be a $35 increase.
Right. I don't have the table in front of me, but you're looking at it correct, that without the grant, it would be, 464, I think is what you said, and with the grant, it's 35. Like the savings are pretty significant.
And this is only for this year.
It's only for this year, yes. I
So
mean, they can make the decision every, another year if they want to. The last one we had was in 2023, but it is not, it's not a continuous exemption by any means.
So then we'll have to get better control of our budget for next year by the time we get to it. But it won't hurt as bad for our homestead residents this year. And it's, I feel like you might have said this earlier, but it's a pretty lucky thing.
Exactly, it is luck. Because again, you don't know if you're going to get it. But yeah, the thing to think about is that you vote on your millage every year. And so when this comes around next year, if you don't like the millage that you're at, you can change that, just depending on what your budget is. But yeah, this is a potential opportunity for you guys to consider pulling in some funds to, support that fund balance, and doing it with a state grant because it's available.
And this isn't a grant that individual homesteaders have to apply for. It is taken off of their property bill when they get it.
That is correct. Homeowners don't have to do anything. As long as they have their homestead exemption, they don't have to do a thing.
So how does that show up on your tax bill then?
Yeah, it'll
Since it's
show
brand
up. I
new.
looked at DeKalb's tax bill recently. It's going to pop up. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like on the right side of your bill. If anyone, does everybody remember their tax bill, or do you just send it to your mortgage company? I don't know what most people do, but I like to look at tax bills. It's going to pop up on the right side. If it's like 2023, it'll be on the right side of your bill, and they had like a red highlight to really emphasize, here's your credit. So it'll be savings in tax dollars is what it'll show. And they also want, on the tax bill, there's going to be a note that, hey, Governor Kemp and the General Assembly voted for this to save you taxes. So you'll see that as well.
So in essence, it'll be, this is what you're due, here's the rebate, or whatever it's being called, this is what you actually owe.
Correct. It would be like a gross amount. Here's your credit. Here's what you owe.
So
it'd be like
homeowners
this
will
minus
see
this
what
equals
they
this.
would pay if they didn't have that.
If it totals that column, yeah, you would see that. I don't know if they do. I mean, you could do the math yourself, I suppose, but yeah, in essence, that's true.
And we don't know, again, this was this year, and it was probably was along the lines with the bill that also dealt with property taxes, and this was a way to give us something, municipalities, but we don't know if that's gonna happen next year.
Which part?
The HT.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I've ever seen it happen 2 times in a row, so don't ever count on it, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify, as far as people who are watching this or seeing the recording, I'm going to rephrase it and you tell me if I'm right? We've been using this 300K house value example, right? You get your millage on a percentage of it, right? Stephen, it's like 140 or something of that.
It's 40%.
We're talking about the
It's 40% of your
assessed
value,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is calculated from your millage. This bill means that 18% of that 40% will be paid by the state, right? Is everybody?
18,000.
18,000.
Not 18%.
18,000. Good, that's why you're correcting me.
I'm sorry. I don't
Thank
mean
you.
to-
No, good, let's do it. So you have your home value, you have the 40% that the millage is going to tax, and then 18,000 of that is going to be paid by that grant.
Correct.
Okay. Y'all good, at least here, present?
And that's
I-
only if you have
I
an
don't
exemption.
know if we've
Are you
shared
at
our,
40%?
probably not. Sorry, talk over you.
No, it's,
Is that not, so
What did you say?
that's only for homes that have a homestead exemption.
Yes, I think that's probably the one downfall is that it's, if you don't have a homestead, you're out of luck.
So commercial properties and rental
Commercials,
properties.
rentals, yeah. I should have brought numbers. I feel like maybe like 55-60% of Pine Lake is homestead. Sounds about right, per parcel. Don't quote me.
it was in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
is it
did,
in?
you
I
gave
think
that,
so.
Stanley may have done that work.
you gave us a number, I believe, of how many residents were homesteaded. So again, the understanding is that regardless of what the millage is, there's this additional bonus that the state is giving homeowners.
Correct. Yeah, it'll be there, whatever you decide on the millage. And just because of how the math works, the bigger the millage, the bigger the savings. And you guys saw those charts. I mean, it was
Yeah.
really significant, so.
Yeah.
And
Anyways-
if you're thinking, again, taxing jurisdiction, I mean, everyone's gonna get it at the county and the school board level too, so it's a big deal.
Yeah, so I mentioned all that just to say for y'all, with whatever the vote is tonight, that whatever that amount is in your millage, you won't actually pay all of it, right? Because of this grant.
Sounds right to me, I think. I
Right.
mean, I'm just,
You, meaning people with homestead exemptions.
Yes.
Whatever the millage bill is, the state grant is going to cover a portion of it,
yes, correct. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So whatever the millage increase is, it will not actually be
Well,
the full burden on the homestead
yes, that's a great way to
exemption
put
person,
it. I'm
right?
following now, yeah.
I just feel like this has been, I've gotten a lot of emails in the last couple of days. So I just want to give everybody the line of what
Yeah.
I've been following and
Yeah.
just kind of, I really want people to be able to take that in and understand and,
Yeah.
and be on this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So you vote for a 15% increase, you may only pay for 3.5% of that or something, I don't know.
And just so people are aware, we have we've done a spectrum. You provided some excellent information about how much we need to stop the bleed from our general fund. And I believe that's right at 24?
It's right, 24 and a half.
24 and a half.
Okay.
And I am kind of disgusted that it has to be that high. But here we are. And this is a windfall, a lucky thing for us to be able to.
Sorry, I'm just being impatient, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I think we had an estimate and then we changed the estimate. Just remember that, like, you know, like to stop the bleeding, as you said, we had to do a little bit more. But I think you threw in, like, we had like an $18,000 like city manager one-time like executive search. So like those things kind of just pop up in your budget, and it doesn't necessarily mean that like that's there to stay. I just want to point that out. I don't remember if our numbers were. I feel like the original recommendation, I could be wrong about this, was like the 23.85 was like right there, and then we had to go a little bit more because 825. Okay.
So if we
Anyways, go ahead.
then do not raise the millage to that, we're paying for that from the general fund. Fund balance.
Correct.
Basically
yeah.
our
If you
savings.
don't- Again, we're working with a budget and an estimate. We don't know what our actuals are going to be. But yes, if essentially if you don't bring in enough money, but you're paying for obligations, it's got to come from somewhere. It comes from that fund balance, so it goes down.
And,
That's right.
and what is the recommendation in terms of, for municipalities, what's the recommendation for how much fund balance? I know it's based
Yeah.
on X number of months.
Yeah, most people rely on GFOA for that. They
Wait.
recommend a minimum fund balance of 2 months, which is scary, but it is the minimum. All right, keep that in mind. I think if you go back to the original question that you had about the TAN and how do you avoid having to borrow and have interest costs, is well, you have a fund balance to kind of support you at times when you need it, and that's just a timing thing in a single year. But you got to think about your credit rating too. I mean, maybe you get better interest rates because you have a better fund balance. Emergency purchases or years that things go wrong,
Thank you, Ned.
revenue shortfalls. There it is.
So looking longer term, next year, when we're at the situation, we will have had our fund balance in an interest yielding account, which we don't have this year.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, if you have a fund balance to invest and you earn some interest revenues, again, that's just an additional revenue source for you to help offset costs. So yeah, and you've got to have a fund balance to do that. So if that answers your question. I don't know if that
It
was-
does. Basically, the fund balance has not been invested.
Right.
in the
Oh, no,
past.
I don't know of any of our. I mean, we've got some accounts that have. It's an interest-bearing account, but some of them are very low. I want to say one fund, like the DDA bond fund, is got a higher interest rate, but it's just not a big balance. So basically, there's no funds that are really being invested. I mean, Georgia Fund 1, as of last month, is like 3.65%, and we're nowhere close to that on any of our accounts. So.
And so the money also that we were awarded through SPLOST, could that also be invested?
Yeah, SPLOST fund should be invested, yeah.
And it has not been up until now.
No.
So again, that's over, what would you estimate that amount is?
In interest revenue?
No, just in what the dollar amount of what we have left in SPLOST.
What was our current balance?
Any idea?
We've got two different accounts.
SPLOST,
I mean,
yeah.
you've got a small city IGA, which is sitting around maybe 865. And then you've got SPLOST 2, it's probably closer to like 160, 165, something like that. So put those two together. I can't do math without that spreadsheet, so I don't know what it is.
So again, looking down the road next year, that's close to $1 million that could be accruing at a pretty decent interest rate.
Yes, yeah. Every minute we wait is not great, which makes that previous resolution very important. Please,
Yes.
I won't bring that up now, but yeah, just yes, we should move our funds.
Could you maybe, since we have this up, explain that in any way that would help everyone else understand what your
I'd
incredible
like
data is?
To this is sort of, I think, what happens when your city manager and finance director provide such detailed information. It's a really wide table. And I didn't apply the flow feature on the next to leftmost row or column rather, so it might not be too helpful for the members of the public, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not very neat either. I don't know.
Could you zoom in
There's
on the
there's
the
better
left
people
part?
than me to design spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys remind me. I think we're starting with a gross digest.
He's suffering from lack of sleep.
No, I don't know. This is just how my brain works. it's a millage rate comparison is what it is. We're taking our digest and we're applying that digest to different millage rates to see what kind of revenue we're generating. We're then comparing that revenue, because those are your council's options, you know, how much revenue they can generate based on the millage rate that they set tonight. How does that compare with our budget? And you can see that some is over and some is under, or, well, not really. I guess the estimated budget portion, everything is positive there. So everything up there is greater than our budget, but I think our budget was just, you know, you don't know what your millage rate is going to be at that time, and I don't think we anticipated a decrease in value. I don't know the last time that state of Georgia's seen that, probably recession years. But anyways, you then compare that with the fact that we have budgeted, you know, $209,000 worth of fund balance. So you say, well, if we can, essentially you have to bring in $209,000 more than what you originally budgeted for back in December of 25. That's where you essentially your fund balance, you're not impacting fund balance. It's essentially revenues equal expenditures. So I don't know if I'm doing a good job here. Is that everybody tracking?
I can add something
Yeah,
if
please do.
it's not disruptive. So what I've talked to with some council members, the line that was really pertinent for me was 14, which is the estimated increase or decrease in fund balance. So the parentheses are negative. You keep scrolling. There's the 23.825, which was the staff recommendation. And then for me, what was really important was trying to get that to a positive. In terms of that's what feels responsible, in terms of not to continue drawing on the fund balance.
Right.
So it was really helpful to have this sheet, all that to say. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the feedback, all of y'all.
Beautiful table.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have a fellow spreadsheet lover?
Guilty.
I'm open. I don't know if people have questions about this. I don't see why not. We did that.
And then the
in
important piece too,
hearings.
at the very bottom, you know, the months that we've been talking about. Those are your reserves. How many months does it cover you? It's just
So at the
minimum recommendation being 2 months, and so obviously the more
And
you
that's
have, the safer you are.
That's a 2 months. The difference, there's a huge difference between 2 months for Decatur and 2 months for Pine Lake. If Decatur has, I don't know, they get sued for something, they can tank that a little bit better than us trying to deal with any kind of emergency. So I know the recommendation is 2, but I kind of like it erring more on the side of 3, just to.
Just keep going. No, my recommendation, I don't think, the minimum fund balance you want to have, best practices is 2 months. Don't go below that, basically.
So the
You
rollback,
could definitely have higher. I mean,
the
it's-
rollback rate would be out of the question.
Yeah, I think
It's less
scroll to the
than
left.
It was a 1 something.
1.9.
Yeah, the rollback rate was because of the decrease. Oh well, I guess the rollback rate gets you back up to where you were in the prior year. But yeah, it was $205,000 decrease. You ended up under that 2 months, so it's it's not good. Don't go with that.
So that would cut our fund balance almost in half.
Yes, more so. Yeah, more than half.
Public comment?
So I think we did this in public hearing. This was an opportunity where residents could ask if they had questions to clarify from you, Stephen, if that would be okay. Yeah. Anyone have questions about this information? Come on
No, it
up.
might be a little chaotic. Yeah, I'd love to get it all on microphone.
Yeah, to the podium, please. That way folks listening on the recording can hear and
Okay, quick question. Has anybody thought about what happens next year? Because I hear what you're saying about the grant thing, and I appreciate that. But what happens if there are different people to have a different feeling about this next year and to try to back up at that point after this is already, I mean, every year we just keep getting more and more and more taxes. It's going to be a lot harder if we don't have that grant next year to back up. You know how it is in government. Everything's slow, and usually something starts, it's really hard to take that away. So what about the people that really cannot afford to be here anymore? I'm curious your thoughts to that.
We have to wait until we're out of public comment to respond.
Yes. Any other questions, and then we will have an opportunity for us to respond.
I guess just kind of going off of that, I understand that we're gonna probably have to raise the millage rate. It doesn't really seem like there's any other option, but it sounds like you guys have been heads down on this for a little while, and I think what would be really helpful for this, like the residents, is to understand what are all of the different channels we have for revenue. After talking with the city manager and city clerk, I kind of found that, you know, businesses don't provide as much revenue as I initially thought, or what I would assume. And it sounds like stormwater is a way of making money in this town, and like there's all these like weird little things. And so I think that if we say, hey, we're gonna raise the millage rate, but next year and moving forward, here are all the other channels that we're gonna try to push that will relieve this, I think that would be really helpful, and it would make this a little bit of an easier pill to swallow. So that is my question. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Buffy, 481 Oak Drive. You guys, I know, inherited this bag of tricks, and it's been hard on y'all. I appreciate the thought. And I know there isn't a lot you can do, but bring it up some. I hope you're conservative on that. And I really, I guess you can't fix what was handed to you, but I appreciate your efforts looking forward on tidying things up and a true level of fiscal responsibility that I don't know that Pine Lake has ever had. I've been here 20 years this month. So I really, really appreciate that. It's all about moving forward and thinking about what we can do to manage our money and keep an eye on the money, and are we spending it right? Are we getting what we want? Thank you for that, and thanks for dealing with this mess.
Thanks, Buffy. And happy anniversary, Pine Lake anniversary.
I recognize that Pine Lake doesn't have the number of revenue streams that a city like Decatur or the city of Atlanta. We're really limited in terms of where we can pull money from. Things like stormwater, I mean, I think we would just be happy if we could cover our cost on stormwater. You know, the council last year, and two of you were members of that council, did the right thing in voting for fair and equitable pay for our employees. You took that vote. I took that vote and voted for that budget. And now it's time to own it. And, you know, the city has benefited for years and years of underpaid employees. It is time that we pay our fair share. Do what you need to do relative to the millage rate. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Come on up. You want to speak into your microphone, Chief?
I don't really want to speak into the microphone, but I just think something that I really wanted to share, because
Thank you.
I've been here so long, and I think the thing about it, I heard a story, which I'm not going to tell you because I don't remember the whole story, but it goes something like, when things hit the fan, you know, you get the letter, get the first letter out the drawer, and it says blame it on the last people, and then by the third letter, he opens it and it says insert name, you know, because you can't continue to put it on what had happened. I've been here long enough to watch the learning curves happen, and it's like a real thing because it's a different world. And I've seen some people, you know, work really hard. You know, sometimes I just think they were running in the wrong direction, but they were running really hard, you know, they were trying. In order to understand Pine Lake, I think you have to really look and accept the history of Pine Lake. And Pine Lake has always been like that plate that you put a pole like this and you have to kind of do like this, just because of just where we are. We don't have anything big that supports us as the world around us grows. And there was once upon a time where, you know, and our needs kept growing, and, you know, the world goes and everything's, you know, nothing's 2 cents anymore. And that revenue source was one of the reasons that got us in a lot of trouble. So what the previous administrators have begun to do was begin to look at creative ways of making money and moving money so that we don't depend on or get our money on the backs of folks that's running up and down Rockbridge Road, and to focus more, which was really good for us because it gave us an opportunity to focus on community policing. And that's one of the things that people love about Pine Lake. So, you know, it's like, it looks different, but it's the same. It's the same. Nobody's gotten up here and said, oh, this thing is easy. You know, nobody, never, don't remember it. So it's just like, this is your ball. You got some people that's here willing to work with y'all. You got some residents that's really willing to roll up their sleeves, you know, like, don't feel bad. And then it's like, blaming people is not what's gonna get us pushing forward. So it just makes me feel bad sometimes. And I think sometimes people don't realize why it was that dip or that flip. And that's because where you was getting your money from. So it looks different. So now that we know better, we have to do better. So it's just, I tried to warn y'all. I tried.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Other comments before we have an opportunity to respond? Anyone else? Come on up. Okay. If I may, I'd like to start because I think I'm one of the few people who've been here when that all happened. And what the chief was talking about is Pine Lake lived on the backs of all the vehicles that drove through Pine Lake. We were writing over $1 million in traffic tickets, and I think, Wanda, you were here then, and maybe a couple other people. I know the first thing that I did as a volunteer, as a resident, was part of a Pine Lake Human Relations Council, and I helped facilitate a meeting with the chief of police at the time, getting him to explain why that happened. We had protesters and picketing up on Rockbridge Road. I don't know about every meeting I still go to today, and this is what, 20 years? Oh, Pine Lake, that's the speed trap town. That was 20 years ago, and we still have to live with that, and we have to figure out how to rebrand us so we're different. So that's not what we remember. What I think, for me, the way I describe kind of what we're going through with the change in the charter and the new form of government is that we've got a house, and we're now trying to build a foundation of a house that already exists. That's really hard, because there's structure already there. How do we dig in? So one of the things is Stephen and the work that our city manager has done to create some structural integrity to our building. Change takes time, it's hard, and change in government takes extraordinarily long time. I know individually, and again, some of the guidelines are we can't get together and talk as a group outside of here unless it's a public meeting. So having conversations, and I think I've spoken with everyone here, I can't tell you how many times in the last 3 days alone. So we are working hard, talking, looking at different ways. Our city manager's been looking at, are we getting adequate money from things like franchise fees? What are the other sources of revenue we need to explore? We're starting to look at, down the road, where are our allies and where can we get additional funding, whether it's through grants, whether it's through annexation, whether it's not through annexation and we stay exactly the way we are. We still need to build a business district, but the business district takes how many years? I've lived here since '96. The Dragon Delight Shopping Center has not changed in those years. The only thing that's changed is there's a new sign that has no signs in it. That's the first thing I've seen done in 30 years. We are meeting with, I can't tell you how many countless people, whether it's a nonprofit organization that could offer free consulting to help us develop ideas for branding, for creating an identity up in Rockbridge, for business development. I think since I've been in the role as Mayor Pro Tem, since Mayor Hall resigned, this has been honestly my full-time job. My work is suffering because of that. And part of it is we need help and we need to be creative, and part of that is also how do we pull in the talent of the people who live here as well. So I have such confidence in the group that's up here that we are working to try to figure it out, but we also can't do it alone. We need everybody. That's our administrative team, that's our residents, that's our police department, our staff, and outside people. And I know we've been to so many meetings where we walk away going, there's people who are pulling for us that we didn't even know about. Yeah. So we are working really hard to try to figure out how to do this. Personally, when I came into office, I made a choice. If I look backwards and spend energy on that, that's only going to be the energy that's going to be spent. We need to look forward. I don't care what's happened. We got what we got. We got to move forward and figure out how to do this. And I have confidence that collectively, and the we is all of us, will get there, but it's not going to be an easy road. That's all I got. Anyone else?
Well, first I want to say thank you to everybody who has participated in one of the 5 public hearings that we've had over the last month related to the millage issue, or sent us emails individually or collectively, or filled out the comprehensive plan survey, which had a question about sort of our long-term revenue and where we want to be as a city, stay the same, pay more for it, do other things like annex, disincorporate, all those things. All of those things have really seriously become data points that we all have chewed over, talked about one-on-one repeatedly, as Jeff said, and culminating with having this table from Stephen, which has really helped us figure out how can we execute our responsibility to the financial health of the city, and as part of that to its residents. So we have heard everything that everyone has said. We've also noticed, what people haven't said. So everything that we go through for the discussion about millage is taking all of that into account. And I just want to second Jeff's commitment that we are, again, looking at both like short-term things. What can we do to mitigate next year's budget? However we can. Can we share a lawnmower with Stone Mountain? I don't know. Maybe. Can we get an interest-bearing account so that just slightly more of that money stays, in-house and grows for us, and we have flexibility over how to use it? Nothing's off the table. So we are going to talk about raising the millage, but we're also going to commit to working between now and the next budget season and beyond about long-term sustainability.
Anyone else?
I thought you were going to talk.
I was going to.
I'm taking this big breath and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Parsing my thoughts.
Okay. I just want to echo what Councilmember Lauer said, and I really appreciate y'all taking the time to sit in these very comfortable chairs that you have out there and listen through this, and really, whether it's an email or conversations or public comment, it is really heard and it's taken to heart. And I can share that, at least on a personal level, this is the vote that's caused me the most stress, like in terms of coming into this role and thinking about, the biggest responsibilities and the biggest implications. And it's a hard situation to come into when you are faced with affordability being somewhat at odds with sustainability and what feels like financial responsibility, at least for me. So it's really not an easy choice. And so however people feel about how the vote goes, I just hope that can be, as the conversation continues about what this city is, what the future is, what we are doing, how we are being responsible, but I really hope, just take to heart that it's really not easy. And there's really so far as I can tell, there's no easy, like, zing, we've got it all, everything we want in one nice little package. So kind of stating the obvious, but also just, this is the struggle of this. And I think that, I think Pine Lake is a very resilient, creative, intelligent place, and there are things that we can do in governance, and I think there are things we can do in community to really support each other and keep building towards a better future.
I'd like to recognize that this is not sustainable. This millage rate next year, the year after that, we can't keep doing that. And I personally will not approve a budget that puts us in this place again. We need to work tirelessly, as we have been promised, to make sure that we're not in this position in 12 months, because we won't have the good graces, not the good graces, but we won't have the luck of the governor allowing to soften this blow. And I am grateful for that luck, but I also know better than to try to count on luck or empty promises, and we'll be much more involved with the budget going forward.
I second. Yeah, this is not easy. I think we've all seen this day coming. And I ran on saying that, like, I want to be fiscally responsible. And it might be easier for me than others. It's not a fun choice. I don't envy us in our position. So.
But we all stepped up to the plate. And whether we knew it or not, when we ran for office, this is what we agreed to do. But I also, just as a reminder, we also are residents, and we also do pay taxes. And when I hear that our digest has decreased, and then I get my assessment, and I go, gee, mine didn't go down, mine went up. It's a hard decision, but that's what we have to do. What I hope we are doing is reassuring you that we're taking this incredibly seriously. We understand the impact on folks, not necessarily specifically each individual, but we know this is going to be hard. But what we're saying is we're reassuring you that we're going to do everything in our power that this time next year we're in a different place. I don't know what else we can say, but we also need help, not just from each other up here, but from our staff, from people outside the city, to figure that out. And we are making progress with that. This year's going to be hard. And it hurts to say that.
Are we moving to that?
No, that's when we go back into new business. Any other comments before we move on to closing the public hearing?
I move that we exit our public hearing and re-enter our regular session.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Where were we?
Oh, right.
We were back at Resolution R 2026-36.
I don't know if anybody was mid-thought when we were in that discussion previously, but I just want to say that I'm happy to go back to somebody if they were interrupted, but also I brought this up because I do actually have specific things that I object to, so I just want to say that at a certain point I want to mention those.
I think now's the time.
All right. So the reason I brought it up is because looking at bullet points 4 and 5, I agree with the reporting stipulations. I have the same concern as the city manager of just the final sentences in those two. Partly because, like, my objection to that is just that thus far, I think the staff has been really good about strategic performance reports. So I'm confident that, you know, Stephen can handle this and the two of you working together can handle this. And I also, you know, I'm assuming that regardless of who is the banking person approved, like in this case, City Manager Hawthorne would be the person approved, I would imagine that the finance director is going to have a very heavy hand in doing all the reporting, right? So my concern with making it a for-cause termination for the city manager's contract is partly because it's strange to me to put that level of consequence on someone when it's so affected by another staff person. Not because, Stephen, I don't believe in you or think you're professional. I don't. I mean, you've been excellent. But just things like if you're on vacation or something was delayed, or the example that City Manager Hawthorne made where there was a delay and it was, you know, I don't know what was going on for you, but just something happened, not a big deal for me. But I don't want to like codify something like that when all the consequences going on one person and there's not any consequence on the other person who has a very heavy hand in providing this thing and providing the reporting. Does that make sense? So that's part of why I don't like that language.
I suggest then we strike the final sentence of 4 and 5 that says any failure to make this report be stricken and just keep 4 and 5.
So I believe if that's going to be something we would then vote on, we would vote on amending this resolution with the understanding that those two last sentences in both 4 and 5 are removed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also, before we had the hearing, I don't know if, Stephen, if you have anything to add or not, but I kind of jumped the gun on everything,
Yeah,
so I want to.
Thank you. If you want to hear from finance on a finance policy. I don't know if it's a recommendation. I would like it if we could just go back to the original resolution that we had, where it wasn't, I'm going to give broad authority to the city manager and you got to do these things. Instead, just move with, we want to go to Renaissance Bank and we want to open up funds with Georgia Fund 1. The main purpose of getting that in place was so that we could invest our funds and we could get out of Truist because they have not been a good partner with us. And so that's why it's really important that we have some vote tonight, if you guys can come to a decision on that. Speaking on the reporting piece, I think enough has been said on the punitive. I don't typically see that in a resolution either, so I was definitely uncomfortable. And to add to your point, it really does kind of fall in finance, and so now the pressure's, like if I mess up, like Stanley's done. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't want it on me either, because you know, your finance department is part-time at the moment, and as he gave one example, there could be many more. I'm certainly the one that can hold things up. Like, I just think it's just a dangerous precedent. I don't know that we should do that. What I'm used to seeing, because I agree with the reporting, and you keep going back, I want to see reports. I guess you all want to see reports, and I agree with that. I think there's at least in my head, because I may not have communicated that other than the budget to actual, I have an idea of just more regular monthly reporting in general for all of your finances, which would include certain balances and investments. Investment reporting, if we're talking about that, is usually driven by a policy, which is approved by the governing body. And I have full intentions to someday, especially as we start to move funds and actually start to invest, we would build an investment policy for you to review and approve, which usually says, I'm going to give you semi-annual like performance reports or something like that. That's a little bit more common. I'm not used to the monthly balance reporting, but I think that piece might get answered just in this more broad picture that I have of like, we're going to provide monthly financials for you guys, which would include probably balance sheet accounts like cash and your investments. So that's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that that's going to be what you want to do moving forward.
Yeah.
So that feels like it's in line with what is written here. Like, it doesn't seem like what you're proposing is any different. Like, this would be included in what? 4 and 5 would be included in
It's
what
in a
you're-
resolution. I would advise, I'm advising that we develop a policy that guides what investment reporting should look like. And not just, I'm going to show you balances at the end of the month. So I think that's my difference, is that that's what I'm used to seeing. I'm used to seeing policies that guide financial reporting requirements. Because again, you guys are going to be the ones that vote on this policy.
So your recommendation was to vote on a resolution that was the alternative
yeah, I wish,
resolution, which we don't have in front of us.
I do, because I got a packet yesterday.
And I don't think
I don't know if I'm,
that would be great.
It's the same, though. I think 1, 2, and
If
3 are the
we-
same on both
I guess the point I was
versions.
making, like if we go with the original, you're not granting that authority. Banking changes still has to come to council. So you don't have to put that in that required reporting piece. Instead, it's like, hey, we're requesting specifically to move to Renaissance Bank for deposit accounts and potentially money market accounts, as well as Georgia Fund 1, just depending on who's offering the better interest rates.
There is the really good point that we do spend a lot of time, and we have had a number of
Right.
occasions.
Yeah, yeah. I'm used to staff being able to make decisions on banking and investing. And I actually really like the piece that said our requirement to inform you, like to keep council informed to when those changes happen. That's coming. Yeah.
So that would be point 4 in the current packet of letting us know at the end of any given month if any investment changes have taken place with
Yeah.
staff oversight.
Yeah. Yes, be informed for sure. Yep. I don't have the other resolution, so I don't know if that was in there as well, or I just don't remember. Oh, is this it? Yeah.
Yeah, so what finance director is proposing is that we go with 1, 2, and 3, with the specific institutions that are listed, and then to add 4 and 5 from the other policy, striking the last sentence of 4 and 5.
So under
Well, if you do that, I mean, I think if you add 4 and 5, should we not just revert to the wider authority coming to the city manager?
No, I'm not trying to take away from what you're saying, so clarify what it is that you want.
Do
wish
you-
I knew.
Do you have any intention of investing with anyone other than Resnet Bank or the state fund?
No. And that's a good point too, is that we're regulated by state law. We can only invest in certain funds anyways. Those are things that come up in the audit every year that gets looked at. Where are your investments at? So you guys do get an annual financial report, and there would be a finding in there if we were investing in something we weren't allowed to. So there's that piece. I don't know. It goes back to the investment policy too, which is usually designed based off of the Office of the State Treasurer, who literally tells you, these are the types of investments that local governments in Georgia can invest in. So we're not even able or capable of investing in something that anyone would be like uncomfortable with. You know what I mean? I think performance, looking at investments and how they're doing, I don't know where we're getting at with cash balances. I guess cash balances just to look at liquidity. I mean, I think that's, again, just going back to like monthly financial reporting, just kind of keeping up with everything and how we're doing. But like investment reporting is kind of different. I mean, I think you'll see interest revenues, just a part of your revenues on a monthly basis. But usually it's like, okay, how did Georgia Fund 1 perform this past 6 months? Okay, how did they perform for the whole year? It'd be like a semi-annual thing. It's a little different than, this is just asking for some balances. It's,
So can we go with this
Anyways.
policy the finance director is recommending, and then amended number 4, Stephen, you could correct me if I don't get this right, but to develop the appropriate policies and reporting requirements, and maybe bring that back to council, time certain.
what's number 4? Remind which one that
4 is you have to tell us at the end of every month if you have
Yeah.
made any
Okay, so
investments.
then if we do that, we're saying we want the broad authority, and then you'd be, okay. But then you'd be scratching 5 on the monthly reports, but we would just be saying we need to come up with something else.
I
for
believe,
reporting. I
I think there's 2 different things. 4 is simply telling us that in the past month you have opened a new account or made a change to where things are housed. 5, if I'm following, rather than specifying this language about account balances at the end of the month, we would instead be asking you in point 5 to develop a policy for the regular reporting on the health of our investments.
So it's like a promise to do. Is that what you're requesting as well?
Or even just like the stuff you get from any other bank if you've got an account with interest, right? It would be just, how are they doing? How do they look? Standard sort of, is that accurate to those of y'all who
That's
want?
what it sounds like to me, yeah.
Well, that goes back to the original, just giving you like a balance. every
Yeah.
month, right. I
Just-
think
But-
you're saying instead there would be like a section that says,
I think
in
what-
addition to this authority, we're required to create a policy.
Okay, sorry.
that is
that
aligned
would-
with the state requirements for
Yeah,
how
yeah.
municipalities can invest, yes. So there's
I
like
feel like
the one-time creation of like, this is how we're gonna do business in investing by like funds, and then ongoing, here's what we expect to see on the regular.
Okay.
Everybody get that?
I'm understanding. Yeah.
Great.
I feel like
I
I'm
ha-
outside of my realm here. Like,
I have a question as far as, I'm unsure about like what the residents are privy to, what knowledge. Is there any kind of information we can provide to residents on a monthly basis so they can hold us accountable?
yeah, I think just those monthly financials I'm talking about. Like, what does that look like for us? We know it's going to be budget to actuals. You know,
Okay.
it's like, here's our budgets, and this is how we're performing. I mean, that's the one thing that we would do. Pine Lake records things on a cash basis, so I think about, like, what about monthly balance sheets? Well, it's only relevant for certain accounts, like we're talking about cash and investments, so it might be like maybe not a full-blown balance sheet, but maybe like certain balances would just show up so you can kind of track
Okay.
where it's going up and down.
Right.
So yeah, there should be, and then investment reporting too, if you really wanted to highlight, maybe where your investments are and how they're performing. Again, typically that's like a semi-annual, annual basis, just a report, but I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah,
It
I mean, it
does,
should
yeah.
just be financial information. That's the idea. That's just available to not only internally in the departments, but to council and the public as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's
Yeah,
always
I would-
it's the intention. It's where we need to be heading. and
This is new,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This information, very, very new for council to receive it. And so it's exciting and, you know, I would want to share it. I mean, if we're asking a big ask from the public
Yeah.
tonight,
Yeah.
I feel like we need to be held accountable. So,
So would that be a special report, or would that just be part of your report that's part of the monthly SBR? Which does
Dropping it
get
out.
shared with residents.
It'd probably be separate, I guess.
Yeah,
That we could. You never know what's going to pop up in the SPR. What we want to talk about. I feel like the monthly financials
So
could
that
be
would-
separate. And
Because
that's-
I think it should be separate.
Yeah, I think it could be both. If you go onto the website now and go into finance, we have, you know, the budget reports, we have the auditing reports. We could certainly have a link of some of these other reports that you could just, if that's all you're interested in, here it is.
So then, moving forward with this, can we vote on this with the amendments, knowing that we don't have it written in front of us? Because
Yes.
you do need the authority to do this
Tonight, yes.
tonight.
Yes, and that's just giving instruction to bring that back, which is going to involve more discussion and deliberation of the council. But it's also not having to reinvent. There are a lot of examples out there of different policies that we can bring back for your review.
So then, does it make sense to vote on the previous resolution with the understanding that a new one will come which will add to it? So it gives you the authority tonight, but the implementation of it will be added after the fact, and we would have to vote on that.
It's my preference, yeah, to go with the original one. That's just very straightforward. We're going to move our funds to Renaissance and Georgia Fund 1, and then give us time to figure out exactly what we want reporting to look like and how we do that, whether that's through resolution, through a policy,
So-
codification. I don't know.
So would that be
Just-
something we could expect at the work session in 2 weeks?
Probably not a policy.
What would be your timeframe?
Yeah.
Regular session, which would be July 30th, July 28th.
I think it's the 28th.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I mean, I could,
I would do my best.
I could take the lead
That's not a
on,
good-
I could take the lead on that, Stephen. You know, now that we're on the, this is actually a true statement. You know, I was telling Ned, you know, this is probably the biggest meeting of the year so far. With the property tax, we're not done yet. Stormwater, we've got budget. Just today, I believe Stephen wrote a letter to the state asking for an extension on the audit. So he's certainly going to be busy with those things, but I could certainly take the lead on bringing back for the next work session to continue this discussion and maybe some auto type policies.
So what about we just shoot as the work session, because that's a conversational discussion session, that you bring what you can, we start
Yes.
from there, and then that would help us start,
Yes.
continue that conversation. Is that?
Yes, that worked for me.
And are we
work
I just want clarity. Are we speaking on like a broad monthly financial reporting? Are we being specific on like the investments and cash related? I don't know.
It could be and or both, but I certainly want to research and then we'll discuss it.
Okay.
But it's probably gonna start at that broader level to
Yeah.
get the discussion going with the council.
I think it's going to be evolutionary, and as to get it started,
like
and then
that
it will
word.
grow or change, and it may grow bigger, it may grow smaller.
Yeah, okay.
But I think as we start doing it, we will figure out what it is we're looking for.
Because here's what we don't want to do, and what I've seen turns into a disaster, is where we have a plan and we develop a policy and then we can't stick to it. And so I liked your word evolution, because I think what really works is, you know, kind of like we created this budget to actual. It was just work and work and
Yeah.
work, and now we have one, and it's like, okay, we kind of see what this is going to look like. We want this to be a part of it. So it just takes time to build what we want
Yeah.
to build. So like we need to be careful not to put something in place and then be like, this doesn't work or whatever, and then we have to change it. So that's just
Yeah.
something to think about.
So is that workable for everyone? That, to clarify, we're going to vote on the previous resolution. We are committed to coming back to the work session with the concept of a plan. Sorry, couldn't resist. To start the conversation about policy and what the reporting would look like, and knowing that that may take more than one meeting to get to that place.
Okay.
Is that summarizing it?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we need a motion to not vote on this, to not accept this resolution.
What is this resolution on screen? The original. And that number is
36.
36, but the original.
So just to clarify things, do we need to give the one we're going to vote on a different number?
36.
Yeah. So then we need a motion to not I guess to vote down 2026-36, and then a motion to accept 2026-36A.
So who made the motion to? Was it me?
Just what I would say is there's precedent for changing a resolution in the middle of the meeting, the tentative millage rate being an example of that, and the adoption by council stuck. So as far as I can tell, you can just vote on the resolution on the screen
So we don't have to vote down.
and just let it ride. Yeah.
So we'll call what we're voting on 2026-36A with the capital A. So do we have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution R 2026-36A
Do-
as amended,
Do we have
with
a
the 3
second?
bullet points.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Resolution R 2026-37, stormwater service charge schedule amendment. Just bring your chair up.
Some water.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Good to see you, Stephen.
You as well. I don't have any additional comments or things to say. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
I do have questions. Originally, the assessment fee recommendation is to move it to $125.
Correct.
That was given a budget that you later went through and pulled apart a little bit and took out the unnecessary bloat, I would say, and kind of pared it down.
So do you mean, yeah, so the original 125 was based on the budget that passed in December, which was like an $82,000 worth of expenditures. And so I think the 125 would get you at a revenue that was just slightly over that. I don't remember exactly the surplus, but that might have been, I think 123 was the first amount that would get you over. And 125, I don't know if it was just an even number or if it gave us just a little bit more. So yes, that was the recommendation that was in the CAM. We got some additional information from Bernard. I think a more full picture of what he thinks the stormwater fund truly cost, from like a personnel standpoint, as well as contract work and some additional maintenance work that he thinks we should be doing. And so that's where that 136 came from. after further conversations with Bernard, because we're in the middle of the year and Bernard is no longer the director, we adjusted down again because we knew, half the year he was going to be gone. We had a conversation with Clark Patterson Lee, I believe is the name of the firm, who gave us some more details on, we pay them hourly, and so there's certain parts of that contract that can vary from year to year just based on the activity that's going on. So after all those discussions, as well as Bernard's got these, I don't know, maybe that, I think it was like a $94,000 with like a $5,000 contingency. That was.
It's up there.
Oh. Yes. Yeah. 94,810. That was the number that we have landed on, and that does include a $5,000 contingency. So these are your different rates, your total revenues versus your expenses, and when you start to see a deficit versus a surplus.
One thing about this stormwater budget is, I don't know, a budget is our list of priorities. And so we have budgeted money to clear the flume and to maintain that kind of waterway, which I don't know if that's happened this year, but it commits us to doing that.
Yeah. I'm trying to I'm sorry, I just don't remember the specifics of what Bernard said and what I added. I may have put it in that sheet, but I don't know if I broke it out by the different services.
I'd just like to point out, what I'm pointing out is
Okay.
that we are raising the stormwater fees, but it is committing that raising to better maintenance
Oh, yeah, okay.
of our
Yeah,
flume,
yeah,
which
right,
has not been,
Yeah.
I feel, properly maintained. But
Right, yeah.
by budgeting this and putting it down, we are committing to having that done.
Right. Okay, yes,
Okay.
yes.
So we're not just raising the rate with nothing.
So the point being is you're You're raising the rate to have these services, so go get the services done. Like it's gonna, okay, I'm following. Yes.
And that's not you.
Sorry, I'm
that's
not. You gotta talk things through with me. I don't
You're
pick
the
that one.
finance guy, so that's
Sometimes.
Public Works.
Yeah,
to
that's true
deliver
too.
the
Yeah, don't
service.
ask me specific
So-
questions on stormwater.
But I think what you're doing is going on record as saying if we're committing to this increase, that's a service that
It's the expectation.
we want delivered, and the residents want delivered because they're paying for it.
Yeah. Okay. Understood.
Any other questions or comments?
It's also, I believe, from your read, 10 plus years since our stormwater rate has changed. And in part, if I understand correctly, that's because we have only recently moved to a department-based budgeting system where it is more feasible to understand what our actual costs are for this maintenance.
Yes, and that transition isn't complete, but that is the goal for 2027 as we get started with the budgeting process.
Other questions before we ask for a motion? All right, do we have a
You
motion?
will need to choose an amount.
Yeah.
So these numbers are a little bit different from what's in the packet. And if we ask for the 125, that looks like that'll still have us at a deficit.
Correct.
And is that based
Keep
on?
in mind, there's a $5,000 contingency in there too. Not that we're assuming we're not going to use it, but it's not a designated expenditure that we're necessarily expecting to have.
And to be clear, when you were talking earlier about what Mr. Kendrick told you, the $94,810 includes the $5,000 contingency?
It does.
Okay.
Yes, it
Thank you.
does. Yes.
So the difference in budget expenses, in the packet it has it at 82,
Yep.
but 94 is what it actually is.
It's a more updated number for
Yeah.
what we think we can get done this year.
But that 94,810 includes $5,000 as a
Contingency.
emergency contingency.
Yes.
So the actual budgeted expenditures are 89,410, 810.
So for example, 140, the fee rate at 140 puts us with most of that contingency, but not all of it. Is that correct?
Say that again.
So the fee rate for 140 on the budgeted expenses,
Mm-hmm.
like it's showing our deficit as 649,
Mm-hmm.
but the 94,810 is $5,000 contingency, right?
Right.
So if we're at
Right.
the 140, we're giving most of the contingency, but not all of it.
Correct.
So my point is, like, if we really want to pinch some pennies, right, we could sort of go under that amount a little bit, and we're just cutting into contingency of the budget.
Correct. That's true. So you might see an actual surplus in that case.
So knowing that our Public Works Director is not here, our Special Projects Director, what, if any, of the expenditures on stormwater can be covered by SPLOST? So work on the flume, if it's involved repairing and maintenance, is that not money that we could pull from SPLOST?
It's got to be capital in nature, so I think it would depend on what we mean by repairs and maintenance. So if we're making improvements to the system, usually you can spend it on that, yeah. But we've also got to think, I mean, I can't, what are our SPLOST categories that we passed? Do we have a, go ahead. Yeah. Like a water sewer or?
Well, of the projects approved for the IGA funds, one of the projects included an extensive reparative work to the wetland system.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
And I know from many conversations with Bernard over the past year that it was his intention to seek the stormwater budget to be able to fund that maintenance in perpetuity, if that's helpful.
Which is, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a maintenance expense, which would be
Would-
normal
would-
operating,
which
your maintenance
SPLOST
you
does
want to
not
keep in
cover
storm.
is-
Yeah,
is the
SPLOST
routine
doesn't cover,
maintenance.
That's right.
I feel like there's other opportunities for us here as a city that if we have the equipment, we can go and clean out the system in the flume before it clogs up down the line. I mean, Jeff, is that what Pine Lake, I mean, I understand we're different now, but is that what used to happen?
What used to happen is residents would go in there and wade in the water and pull things out and patch things.
Yeah, I don't know why Public Works can't get a little mini excavator and clean it up.
Well, and that's
that could
in
save us money.
that's in his email with wetlands maintenance. It has $15K for pipe cleaning.
Right, but
3 times
that's
a year.
every year,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just
That's
like
3 times a
mowing
year.
the dam 3 times a year. Why don't we do a project where we're not having to cut down invasives and the tulip poplars that are growing on it? Like, why not go ahead and spend the money one time and take care of it? So we're not having to, have a, high stormwater fee for residents when DeKalb County's, gonna double our fees 100% over the next 10 years.
And I think that's something we'll have to discuss in the future. But for tonight, this is what we're dealing with. And I want to echo what Jane had said earlier in the week. Like, it would be great to get this sooner than, 3 days before we have to approve it. But we can think about creative ways to lower our costs.
Yeah.
But for tonight, we have to
Pick a number.
pick a number.
I'll open
Open the bidding at.
I'll open the bidding at 140, picking up Councilmember Kohler's observation that would put us close to a neutral balance, assuming the
contingency,
Thank you.
5K.
contingency.
So that would be an increase of $40 from the current stormwater fee.
That's 40%.
but each residential unit in the city pays about one fee rate. So we're not talking about multiplicities of this, we're talking about an extra roughly $40 per household. I understand that that is proportionately a huge amount, but it's also less than a DoorDash order.
I'm in agreement with 140, just to clarify.
I'm comfortable with 125.
I don't want to say I'm comfortable with 125, but I feel like we're about to raise the millage, and I don't know. One of you convinced me off of 125.
My concern with 125, or just, I mean, really anything under 135, is that we are setting ourselves up for a budget deficit immediately, right? If the projected budget, and obviously we don't vote on the budget until December, so who knows, things could change. But that's my concern, is it's the same reason I proposed in the May meeting about having the millage be higher than what the staff recommended, because I think it's nice to have buffer. And when we have the budget vote in December, maybe we will have over budgeted for something like this, and there's a way to divert it towards something else.
So we have 125 and 140.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
So what I propose is reach a middle ground on that. My preference would be 125, 130, in that range. I think the contingency, looking at 130, that means we would be at a deficit at 2,300, taking out the contingency. So I propose 130. Was it or 130? What did I say? 130.
I'm gonna just hold firm to 125. I think on principle of the matter, that's what was presented to us. That's what I've been thinking about all month long, and we did just hear on Friday that there's new numbers. So
I'm going to speak to that, yes,
Yeah.
because I don't like this precedent of, okay, we're recommending 125, and then minutes before making this vote, getting new information. So if we are depending on, I hate being blindsided by this new information, so I'm going to stick with 125 as well, because I don't like this precedent. I don't like being surprised on this dais.
I think we can be creative and figure out a way to save that money between now and the end of the year and next year. I think we can do it.
So now we vote.
Stephen has something to say.
I just want to point out too that a good portion of that 94 comes from personnel services. So if we're completely uncomfortable with going above the 125 that originally was recommended, that allocation from salary is an estimate and can be adjusted. So if you're more comfortable with those salaries being in the general fund as opposed to stormwater, you could do so. Just want to
Thank you.
Thank you.
That is great. Well, I say I'm going to vote for 125.
It doesn't matter what I think, so.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Oh, we got 3, so you're good.
No. You s-
Your opinion still matters.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, for me, yeah, I don't have anything to add. Just the way that I look at budgeting is just trying to pad everything a little, and so that ideally there's just stuff that can be a little liquid and move around. So I'm just generally uncomfortable with kind of coming in right at something. And I know, you know, we're probably going to have to raise the millage a considerable bit. And I also think that this is, you know, fortunately the year with that grant that is a huge help, I think, to households. And so for me, the difference between 125 and 140 is it's $10 to $15 is what we're talking about per household. So I don't, yeah, that's why I'm comfortable. That's why I started with 140, is it just, if we're starting at 125 as our minimum, to go to 140 is, again, like a coffee shop order for 2 people. So that's all.
So do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt the resolution, the original one presented to us, raising the stormwater assessment fee to $125 per equivalent residential unit.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Do we need to note the nays?
Yeah, against and abstains.
All those against? And any
Nay?
no abstains?
I don't know, I've never voted no before.
Nay? No. So it is, you good with that?
Yes, yeah, the ayes have it.
Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, moving on to item number 5, R 2026-38, the Pride Lake MOU. Given Councilmembers Torrance' involvement as the head of Pride Lake Committee, you were going to step down to not vote on this and be part of the conversation, and from representing Pride Lake.
Good evening, Council. Thomas Torrent, 4538 Orchid Drive.
You look different from this direction.
It's my glasses. And the memorandum of understanding previously has been through Plain, but Pride this year, with the help of Atlanta Pride, we become our own 501c3 entity and are able to talk to the city directly. There, in the memorandum proposed, there are a few Scrivener errors. The date of Pride will be September 12th. There will be a gala on July 25th. But that is not, does not need to be part of this because it's just a rental. Differences between this and last year is that we are asking for the clubhouse to be available for parking for our vendors. We had a pretty unpleasant experience with using the parking lot with the church last year, and we would ask that the city make the clubhouse parking available for us. That will also keep any other rentals of that clubhouse from further blocking up the streets.
Could you say that last part again?
Yes, we are asking that.
Just about the parking.
Oh, right, the parking for the clubhouse,
Right.
for our vendors.
Got it.
For them to park there instead of having to rely on the
Street
parking.
parking. Okay.
And street parking,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you.
And it also keeps those clear from any other rentals that would be there.
Mhm.
Any questions for discussion, comments?
I just want to say, since I've brought this up before about, you know, things impinging on the city's capacity to rent something and, you know, revenue, that if someone wanted to rent the clubhouse on this weekend, I think that'd be a very bad idea. So I don't, you know, like an outside renter, so I don't see this as an example of the city losing revenue, because just like I wouldn't want someone to rent the clubhouse at Lake Fest, or, you know, like, so just for accountability on what I've said before, that I don't see that as a lost opportunity for the city to get revenue.
Just out of curiosity, do you have a guesstimate of what your attendance has been in the last couple of years?
We generally between 200 and 300. 250, I think, is about the highest that we've gotten. The lower years, a little bit lower, but we're not trying for a Lake Fest experience of 1,000 people. It's a smaller, intimate celebration.
Any other questions?
Oh, one more thing, sorry. At the very end, when we're talking about using the police, this arranges with the chief. This says for 1 off-duty, but chief, we've used 2, and we would like to continue using 2, maybe not both for the full breadth of it, maybe kind of split those up. But we've had great officers every year. We're very proud to use them again.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution R 2026-39, the MOU for Pride Lake.
It's 38.
Sorry, 38. Woo, got ahead of myself. -38.
I have a second.
All those in favor?
I
Thank you, and I look forward to seeing all of you there on the 12th. Thanks.
All right, Resolution R 2026-39, call for municipal special election on November 3rd, 2026. This is to fill the vacant position of mayor for the final year of, well, year plus of the mayor's position. So we have dates of qualifying in this amendment, this resolution, beginning on the July 29th and ending on July 31st. It specifies that qualifying fees for the mayor is $216, and qualifying for a city council position, which will also be up for election.
I have a question. On the CAM, is it CAM? It
Yeah.
says August 10th through 14th. Was that for last year?
Unfortunately, the city attorney's not here. The state says August 10th to 14. The city attorney says that we have discretion over qualifying dates and opted for July 29th through the 31st. So please defer to the resolution.
Okay. Can this be amended before, like,
The
for
qualifying
the website,
dates?
just in case somebody wants to qualify and
Oh,
they see August 10th through 14th and they're like, oh, I've got time.
Yeah, no, we'll be doing. I mean, absolutely, we can amend the
Okay.
CAM if we need to,
Okay.
and as with last fall, we'll be doing a lot of promoting of those exact dates. It'll be listed on the
Gotcha.
front page news website, newsletters, so forth.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion?
I also just want to say just for the public to know, as people might be thinking about running for mayor, the qualifying is in July, and City Clerk Degenhard, please correct me if I get anything wrong, but the person who wins the election will take office in November, right? So basically the vacancy is there, so anybody who wants to run for mayor, you will start the job, basically once the results are certified.
Once they're sworn in at the first meeting after certification.
Yeah. So you're sworn in November, and then that term, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, is up for election again, basically a year later. Like from when you're sworn in November, it's open up again for election in November, and then that swearing in is in January, right?
Yes.
Yes, and
So just for people thinking about running for mayor, like that's what it actually, like that's the term of service. So whatever you want to do.
There's also, importantly, there's a city council post on this election as well. Post 1, currently held by Councilmember Jeff Goldberg, will be qualified for in the same time frame. So July 29th to the 31st. I'm not announcing his candidacy for him. I'm just announcing that he plans on resigning before qualifying.
And all those dates are the same, the swearing in, the
Dates are the
re-election.
same, the election the same, the term is the same. As you mentioned, it'll go through the election in November of 2027, swearing in being that following January.
Yeah, so for people who were thinking about this, it's in a month. The qualifying is in a month, so think about it.
So in case anyone did not catch that is watching from home, Mayor Pro Tem Goldberg will be resigning his position July 29th, basically.
At the end of qualifying,
31st.
31st.
31st. So we'll have, your final meet will be the 28th of July?
I believe so. And then you get to go on vacation.
Could we come?
So we are really hoping that people are willing to join us up here on the dais. It's a whole different perspective.
The seats are really comfy.
And the company's pretty good.
I move
So
that
do
we
we have a
adopt
motion?
Resolution R 2026-39.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is approved. And the last item of new business is our Resolution R 2026-40, a creation and appointment of a public art installation task force. Well, actually, that's not the last thing on the new business.
Penultimate. You don't get to say that word too often.
Yeah, I was just hoping we could put that one off. This is the creation of a task force. We have received funding from the county, which was promised to us 3+ years ago, for a mural up on Rockbridge Road, as well as an art wall welcoming residents and people coming into the city that would be on Poplar and Spring. And we also received funding to create a park in the property the city owns on Poplar Drive and Spruce. So that was $50,000 that we got from the county. That was again promised over 3 years ago. And 53, I believe, and 20 for the other piece. So it would be a task force headed up by the previous mayor, Melanie Hammett, working, and we are appointing Councilmember Kohler, myself, Augusta Woods, who's a previous council member who worked on that project, and Robert Witherspoon, who is a resident who also works for the City of Atlanta and is their public art manager. So very exciting. What we are really looking at again is this is a beginning to start creating a real presence up on Rockbridge Road where people know they've arrived. Even if they blink and are driving through us that quick, they will see something. So questions, comments, discussion?
I move that we approve Resolution R 2026-40.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All
Okay.
those in favor?
discuss.
Oh,
Yeah.
discuss.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
I'm glad you're so excited.
I am. It's like, yay. Discussion.
Do we have a timeline in mind for this task force to live and do its work?
Not yet. We're formulating that. And my understanding is that we have already received the money. Thank you for picking up that last check, Mr. Dagenhart. And we will actually, I believe in July, the CEO of DeKalb County will come to present a ceremonial check for that $50,000 at a council meeting. And again, want to acknowledge Mayor Hammett and all the effort that she did to remind people that we were owed that money and never received it.
And also all the labor and how we got these funds in the first place.
Any other discussion?
I just want to mention that I'm really excited this is happening, and Melanie and Augusta and I have talked about this already a bit, but kind of coming back to some of the things that we talked about earlier about this is part of, one piece in a much bigger idea of revitalizing Rockbridge Road and really trying to support the commercial district and having interesting places for people to pause and take notice. And particularly with Poplar Park, something that has just been in the spitball phase. There's no official anything, but something that has been on my mind, and Melanie and Augusta and I talked about too, is like, if that's a nice little spot for people who pick up some food to just sit and eat and kind of be a little bit off the street and hang out, and it's just one more way to make people aware of the city, have a moment to be here. That's not just the lake, you know, that it's kind of really trying to activate Rockbridge Road.
So this is also different from what the original concept was for that park, which is more of a performance space. And it has also been made clear to the CEO that plan is different, times have changed, and costs are different. And my understanding of the conversation with the CEO is she didn't say no, she sort of said, let's talk further, which to me is opening a door to saying she may be open to discussing additional funding. We don't know until we ask. But it is exciting that we can start really the whole process of branding this city, rebranding our city. We talk a lot about we're art's natural habitat, well, yet you don't see it up on Rockbridge, and that's an opportunity to do that. Also, just on that note, the county just announced the county is offering each municipality $5,000. They're doing each city is going to get $5,000 to decorate some sort of cow, and they will be displayed in all the cities of DeKalb County. So start thinking what Pine Lake cow would look like.
Yeah, I've been so consumed with millage. Like, this just came in, and I definitely want it to get on the news blasts and whatever it is, but I just don't think we've organized ourselves yet to get it out to you. But we will very soon.
We just heard about it.
We have a lot of creative folks around here.
Yeah, so it's an opportunity to have a fun little community art project as well. Other conversations about the task force? Getting back to that.
Okay, so just to be clear, it's not just Poplar Park.
No.
But the art task force, it sounds like it's taking the place of MAP. Is that?
That's not the
No,
intent.
I think it's just those three projects. I mean, partly because Melanie is really the person who drove the funding and really has a lot of the institutional knowledge about it. So just the idea that they're all happening at the same time, so to just like put all the energy into making it kind of a cohesive effort. And also, I don't know if you mentioned this, Mayor Pro Tem, but on the resolution, Mr. Kendrick is also.
He's a staff person, and I was also, at your suggestion, intent chief. You want to join the party?
She is the party.
Any other points for discussion?
I think this is exciting. I like seeing forward progress, and I think residents are going to like seeing something pretty. I like pretty things.
Make it pretty.
All right, motion to vote?
I move we adopt resolution R 2026-40.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And Ned, can you add that Chief Green will be part of that task force? Thank you. And her job duty is bring the party. All right. Now we've come to the fun part. Resolution R 2026-41, the final vote and discussion on the 2026 property tax millage rate. Throwing it open for conversation.
So, thinking about what Tom said when he was speaking to council, we've spent the money, and we've committed to it, and it's not just this year, right? I mean, we raised salaries, and as we should have. And It's just like when you see in the news with the federal government about raising the debt ceiling, like that's, I think you make big decisions and you've got to follow through. And it's not, what hurts is it's gonna hurt. It's what 5 or 6 people vote on is gonna affect everybody in the city and our business owners, our renters. Things will trickle down. But I don't see any way to not be responsible. And I feel pretty strongly that there's no way other than to raise it.
I will refer anybody who's watching after the fact on the archive to go back about an hour and a half ago to our major discussion of the public comments section around 7 o'clock, where we iterated all the public input that we've taken and all of these short, medium, and long-term measures, ideas, concepts of a plan, whatever we can come up with to make our financial situation more sustainable. Looking hard at the 2027 budget, looking hard at how we can stretch our dollars further, and looking at alternate sources of revenue to offset this trajectory. But I also agree that we have to pay our bills. I feel very strongly that tapping into our fund balance when we have so few ways to replenish it is reckless and undercuts our ability to deal with crises in the future. On that basis, I'm not saying we need to move to the discussion of actual numbers now. I'm going to propose the 24.957, which keeps us in the black. It's just ever so slightly to the right, Ned. That's the first one where we don't tap our reserve and maybe just bolster it a smidge.
Other comments or discussion?
Go. Yeah, I'm. Go right ahead. Go.
I want to echo what Councilmember Lowers said. I have the same concerns for the same reasons, that the fund balance is hard to replenish. We've had multiple years of going into it, and it's something that I wouldn't want to do with my own budget, so it makes me very uncomfortable to do it with taxpayer money. And I think that the fund balance, especially given all the ways that we are trying to cut corners with this budget and really make it as minimal as possible, we're putting a lot of constraints on ourselves in that way, and I think that that's fine, and that's a responsible way to go at it. But when they don't have a lot of options to replenish it, I have the same concerns. I also look at, in the research and the conversations I've had with staff, with residents, with former council members about just kind of past policy decisions in the city. Part of what it feels like to me for this year is it's sort of a corrective action in terms of the city running on lower staff pay, the city running on lower professionalization. And I think tonight there have been a lot of examples of the massive advantages we have with a finance department with a very professional staff. But it is expensive, and it is something that right now, the burden of it is heavily on the residents, is primarily on the residents. And I think it really begets the question, right, of what do we want in the future? You know, we can stay in this and be in this squeeze, or we can look at other things, but in terms of what we're doing in the next year, yeah, it just feels like this is a corrective action, I think, for me, and then also really wanting to take advantage of the grant that Stephen explained, that if we're going to take a big corrective action, I like the idea of doing it in a year when the burden is not only on homeowners.
I'm not in favor of basically a 25 millage. I mean, not just not in favor, but I won't vote for that. I know that our homestead property owners will have a lighter lift, but we still have renters. And if I know a landlord, they're not gonna take this themselves. They're just gonna pass it right on, which is going to hurt a lot of people. This budget has hurt, and I'm angry that it's this high. And I can't do 25. I can't do it. And I know that may only be like 1 point, but that could be several $100s for somebody. And it just allows us to, if we have a lower number, maybe we'll be more motivated to cut, which we need to. We need to be motivated to do better, because this isn't good enough. This is unsustainable. And when we get to next year, we can't do this again. And so if we're at 25, it's going to be that much harder. So I guess 24 is what I'm saying.
So I'll share, I heard from, and I've spoken with a business owner who owns the majority of the apartments in Pine Lake, and he's emphatically told me he's raising rents. He also said we should disincorporate. Well, I take that with a grain of salt, because then he doesn't pay our taxes. So he's talking about how does he save money. But I agree. I think our renters, which is an underrepresented community, is going to be hurt. Most of the rental properties that are private homes are non-homesteaded. So those won't benefit from the grant, from the HTR. Tell me the acronym again. HTRG. HTR. Thank you. So there's a lot of dominoes involved in this. Thinking long term, is it in 2 years our DDA debt will be paid off, $75,000 a year? We have two. So that is a, and if I understand correctly, 50K is 1 mil. Is that? You've said that in the past, city manager.
Numbers have shifted, so.
So look, that's
what 1 mil is equal.
in terms of tax money. What 1 mil brings in. Well, the point is, in 2 years, we do have some money coming off the books that are debts. We certainly need to look at, in terms of how we creatively staff. So right now, we don't have a full-time public works director, but it's funded for next year. That's something we can creatively look at, I think, in terms of how we manage that. But we still have to take the hit this year. The challenge is just how much we want to agree on.
So I do want to mention, if we are trying to grow our downtown, very tiny, I don't know that it really matters if you're talking about 1 mil when you're the highest millage rate in the state, you know. Like, we're not gonna be attracting businesses, and I feel really, my heart goes out to our new business owner. She's gonna be blindsided by this.
All our business owners.
All of our business owners, who are long-term business owners, most of them, legacy business owners. I think that's a good way to hurt a city. I mean, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, because I'm gonna vote to raise it. But I'm concerned about the domino effect that this can have. Annexation, our business owners, our renters, and then what do we have? A bank account for a few months.
So the recommendation by our city manager is 23,825. In the future, assessments will be capped at 3%, I believe it is, or CPI by the state mandate, and that will take into effect in 2027 if it holds up in the courts. What I know in speaking with other mayors and elected officials and city managers around the county, I think across the board, everyone is raising millage in anticipation of that cap being placed. But again, when Brookhaven is raising their millage, they're going to 5%, 5 mils.
Five.
But then they also have a massive commercial district. So we are having to deal with the consequences of being a tiny city that's primarily residential. We keep talking about how do we develop a downtown or a business district. I still think of downtown as the lake. That's a long-term fix. We've heard and talked about conversations about annexation. I think the residents, we need to have a conversation. Is that something residents want? When you talk to cities, they say the way we deal with taxes is we get bigger. You create a bigger tax base. I don't know if that's what our residents want. We haven't had that conversation. But if we don't, then that means we are going to be pretty dependent upon property taxes.
And Mayor Pro Tem, and you're talking about SB 33 with the 3% or CPI limitation. We will be having a question that the council will need to start to think of. Kind of the companion part of that is, would a sales tax such as through FLOSS be more preferable, which could also offset the property tax for in the next year as part of your consideration? And I mean, this is far too early, but finance director and my discussion is that the FLOSS is more favorable than I guess what failed in the legislature already. Anyway, the what is it, the LHOS? Floss is already in place, and we're gonna need to wait until, to see if the Cobb County is going to take the lead, but, sales tax based on population, would seem to be a net plus for a community such as, Pine Lake that has such a small economic base, and all of your property owners would benefit from that conceivably.
And that would be similar to the way SPLOST is negotiated in terms of each
Yes.
municipality would have an IGA through the county.
Yes.
And I think the original estimation I heard at Small Cities Conference was potentially 150,000 a year.
Yes, that's what I'm aware of.
And that was as a way to support small cities that are losing some of the local control through the property tax caps. But again, that won't take place until 2027, and it will be, everything we're hearing is that that will still be challenged in court. So that doesn't affect us right now, but it does in the future. And that's part of what we're trying to balance, is making a short-term decision that also has long-term implications.
Now, another tax relief that is coming, and I think I didn't share this with the council yet because the county hasn't given more specific information, but there is a program called eHost that is supposed to give relief to municipalities to the extent that all of the counties, you know, the relief that they offer already, this eHost has been working for them. In the meantime, the excess reserves over years has been building up, and the county has committed that this year will be the year that we get those relief funds. So probably around August or September, we should know what that number is for Pine Lake. But I'll be writing you a communication that kind of summarizes what that's all about.
Is that for general fund, or is it more like SPLOST, where it's for specific purposes?
This would be the general fund.
I want to speak to just another perspective on sustainability and responsibility. I think lots of people have said over, years really at this point, that being reliant on the fund balance is not a sustainable choice. And so I do take to heart that this kind of a millage jump every year is definitely not a sustainable choice. And I don't like to get too predictive about the future, especially in the state of the world these days, and just how many things can shift. But I also want to be clear that for me, favoring a pretty hefty jump is not to say that I just want to lean on that indefinitely, but I also don't want to continue to lean on the fund balance. That also is not a sustainable choice.
Other comments? We need to do something. So again, the recommendation from our city manager was the 23,825, which is still a significant increase. That would impact our fund balance by close to $30,000.
Councilmember Lowers, you proposed earlier 24.957. My thought is, we don't have it on the chart, but just based on 0.5 below is like 1,200 under, and then we make this jump to 20-some thousand over. So is there a number that's like 24.5 that I would imagine puts us hopefully right at breaking even? ideally, I'm not enough of a math person to know just by looking at the chart, but would ideally put us a little bit in the black of the budget.
I think you're right. I would support 24.5.
So what would that be as an increase?
From 19.4.
Five points, being, what, 20%,
Yeah.
25%?
So I have it as the city manager's recommendation at 23.825 is my math, I'm an English person, but 16% increase. And the 24.957 is a 25% increase.
I do want to reiterate that a chunk of that is being rolled off by the homestead exemption
The-
for those who qualify.
For those, so, and it's, you know, in our agenda here that, it's in our agenda here that there's about 184 parcels that do not have a homestead exemption. 130 residential properties, 27 commercial properties, I think 2 industrial, or anyway. It's also, I mean, the legislature and Kemp wanted this to help homeowners. And this is, it's helping us, is what it's doing. So,
Ned, can you bring up the next tab, the HTRG that shows the net increase, including the that money, and that gives us that.
so that bottom row shows
The net
what
increase.
the homestead exemption properties would pay in addition to what they owed last year.
Yep, that's the net increase.
So, you know, you can see at 23.825, homeowners with the homestead exemption would be paying an additional $35. They don't have the homestead exemption, it's $464. And it goes up and down depending on which way you look from there.
So for me, I think this is the more important table to look at, because it shows the actual financial cost. Now again, if we go up to 24,957, the cost is 150.77, but then what about next year?
I won't,
And we have to be
I'm-
able to bring that down next year.
yeah.
There's no way we can do that, because that net increase will be profound. Sorry, not talking to the microphone.
I mean, I think this would have to be the year that we scrimp and save and we don't let ourselves get in this position again. I'm deeply disappointed that I'm in this position.
So if we go to 24,957, the net increase for homesteaded properties is $150.77.
This is for
Homestead.
a $300,000 home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also,
So let me, yeah. So
Which
if
is on
your
the
home
lower
is
end.
worth more than $300,000, then you're looking at more. And we have several properties in Pine Lake that are worth more.
I'm gonna stick with 24, and I know that seems like I'm quibbling over half of a millage rate, but I can't go higher than that.
So are you talking the 23,957 or just 24 mils?
I mean, 23,957 57, 24, it's kind of the same, but yeah, 23,957.
We're talking 24,957.
Oh, no.
Saying 24.
Right. 24.000 is.
What is the highest millage rate that Pine Lake has had historically? Yeah.
Search, I went back 10 years and it got as high as 22 point something, and then there was general commentary that said previous to those 10 years that it had been in the 23 mil range.
I have vague recollection of 26 mills.
You recall 26?
Yeah, but I'm not 100%.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't trust my
Okay.
memory.
I can't dispute that.
I wouldn't trust my memory on that, but I have a recollection of it being higher. Regardless, we will have one of, if not the highest millage rate in the state. So I'm hearing from two members of council, 24,957. I hear from one member of council, 24, or the 23,957.
Mine was 24.5.
I mean, I'm comfortable lower. I think we need to really step up our game as far as finding other revenue streams and tightening the budget. I'm with Mr. Torrent at 23.957.
I'll endorse Stephanie's 24.5.
And I will go with our city manager's recommendation at 23,825.
Where does
Can
that
you-
leave us?
I'm sorry.
Stephen?
No. Ned, can you go back to sheet 1? Is that? Yeah,
That puts us over the 2-month.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 23.825. I think we can shore up that $30,000 deficit. That's a good goal.
So
And you're all here.
So we have two people saying 23,825.
3.
We have three.
I'll go with that, yeah.
We have two who are saying, one saying 24,500 and one saying 24,925, so we can just take a vote. Do I have a motion?
I move that we increase our millage to the city manager's recommendation of 23.825.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor?
Nay.
Any abstentions? We have approved the vote of a millage rate of 23.825. Phew. Thank you, members of council, for just quite the process. We've been talking about this for a couple months, and the level of conversation accelerated as we got closer to this. The time investment each of us put into it is exemplary, and I just appreciate the seriousness in which this decision weighed on all of us. So thank you for that. We have opportunity for public comment. Please come on up if you would like to. I don't know if we can do that without him. We have to do that.
Thanks for taking the time and the thought for this, because I know it's hard, and I really do appreciate it from all of you. I do want to bring up something else real quick. The chart from stormwater chart, it's kind of messed up. Thank you guys for catching this, but it's kind of messed up that the package that you give the public is one thing, and then all of a sudden, there's totally different numbers. It really erodes our trust. And what, like, are these numbers made up? That's weird. If I would have seen the chart that came up here, then I probably would have said, oh, well, this is a little more money here. This might be something that I'd like to reach out to my council to discuss a little deeper. But we didn't have that opportunity because the numbers were different, and this is the first time we're seeing that. So maybe if you all could work a little harder on getting the actual chart out to the public before there is a vote on that, it might be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, can I make just a quick comment? The number that Randy, of course, referred to in the packet is the budget that the city council approved, and you're acknowledging some additional projects that you want to do, and the finance director gave you that higher number. We will have to bring that back as a budget amendment.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Hey, just two quick questions. So the first one is, when you guys have split votes, we had 2 votes today that were split. When Jeff steps down, how is that tie broken?
That's an excellent question. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I know. So when Jeff steps down at the end of July, there's going to be 3 months where there's only 4 council members. And so sometimes they don't agree, which is a good thing. So we're just wondering how will that tie be broken? We got Chief on the case. Okay.
She brings the party vote.
Yeah.
And a tiebreaker would be failure to pass.
Okay. So the people on the negative win by default. Okay, cool. And then the second thing is, do we have a town hall coming up? Have we decided a date on that? Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, to be announced. Any other public comments? Well, we thank you all for sticking here and staying here and offering your emails and phone calls and conversations and your public comment. Reports and other business, I'm gonna go last, so council, any reports and other business?
I think we need to schedule the town hall now. I feel like
We have,
did we?
yeah. July 15th?
So we're not gonna do anything with the thing on the 16th.
And July 16th is a new thing.
That's
We've
a
got
plan.
things
Gotcha.
every
Okay.
day, July. And maybe a community chat as well to, at the end of July, to catch people up on anything that's talked about during the town hall and any grievances that want to be aired, any ideas residents have for how we can be creative and fill our coffers.
Mr. Dagenhart, the survey, the RIPRAP survey, has that ended?
Yes, at noon this past Friday.
Okay, great. So we should be able to present those findings. I'm happy to do it like I did with the preliminary.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
discuss maybe over email which format you would like them to be sent out in, whether the tables that you produced, if that's agreeable to your fellow council members, or the raw data, or both.
Okay.
If we do the raw data, can we make everyone's names anonymous? Or is that?
You can. The results themselves, the public record of the results will remain as is. So theoretically,
Okay.
someone could still access that opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you can put them out, and we can put them out in whatever format we want.
Other Other reports, council?
Just a reminder that the comprehensive plan draft is going to come out to you, so keep chatting with us because there's a lot to discuss.
I believe we will be having public comment on that at our August meeting.
I think so.
All right. I think the only thing I would report is that I am still scheduling meetings, continuing to search for other people to schedule meetings with, to find resources for the city. I think the main one we're waiting to schedule with is through GMA. Cindy does the downtown. And then we need to follow up with some other folks. So hopefully we will continue scouring what's out there and find some people who want to offer us, whether it is money or support in terms of consultation and studies. So we're working hard on that. So hopefully that will come to fruition at some point with some good results. I think at this point we need to adjourn into an executive session. So public, thank you for being here. We appreciate your willingness to sit here and listen to all this.
I move that we exit our regular session and enter into executive session for the purpose of personnel.
I'll second.
What's the GMA downtown thing?
Is really big on downtown stuff like vacation and helping us figure that out.
That's why I've been getting feedback.
Great.
Having something to point to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious why I'm not looped in since Jeff wanted me to be the town's commercial district person. So that's why I'm asking.
The last thing I heard from her, and I'll send that to her,
Looks like it.
at GMA, that she's trying to find
Signatures I need.
she thinks would be
Your
beneficial.
ride never been secured?
Stanley, I think you need to be here for this one.
Yeah.
You need to be here for this one.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I would love to be in the loop if you want me to do research on all these things and
Yeah, I mean,
whatever, then.
There's no reason I need to be.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
Yeah, I'm not trying to like shove you out so much as just like bring me to the table. If this is what the mandate is for me, then I'm trying to follow up on such and such.
He doesn't want to talk to anybody else. Thank you.